benefit a high-quality education with more opportunities for all students from cradle to career.
Oh, now, Mary, can you hear us now?
Did that do that? It did. It tells you it's awake.
Yes, I can.
Okay, we just had the owl hoot at us. I've never had an owl hoot,
Oh, that's
a mechanical owl hoot at me. And we were having trouble with that because you know what? It needed power. It wasn't plugged in. All right. We are recording already. We've got a couple minutes to get started here.
We're trying to log in.
Hey, you guys. I'd like to say thank you for all your work. Just thank you.
Thank you.
I think you do a lot too, so thank you.
Yeah.
Second that. All right. I'm trying not to mess anything else up.
That might be me.
Thank you, co-host. Anybody want to breathe with me?
Yeah. I haven't taken a breath in a week.
I don't know.
Sweet. There you go.
Join the meeting.
I'm gonna go ahead and call this meeting to order. It is a special meeting. Next select board. Let's see, is that Tristan? Edmund. Oh, that's Stephanie Pike. Oh wait, maybe she's separate. She's not on.
Hello there.
Hello there. Is that you, Tristan?
Yes, it is. Heidi.
Hey there. We had to wake the owl up. I just started, well, before I'd actually officially started the meeting, I did 3 deep breaths. In through the nose, out through the mouth. So we are here at the Halifax Select Board special meeting, January 28th, 2025. It is 6 p.m. when I've called the meeting to order. And 28th, what did I say? January 28th, the number 8. Changes or additions to the agenda. I would like to move hearing of visitors up before old business. Because Mike wants to not be here all night. Any other changes or additions? Okay, let's proceed then. All right, so under new business, we have a highway position opening, and we need to advertise again. After the opening was happened, I immediately turned the Indeed posting back on, but we are not sponsoring that posting, and we got relatively few resumes. They claim if we pay them, we'll get more resumes. Mike checked with two folks. Who had applied earlier. One was not interested further. The second one has not called you back. And so there's that issue, which is just authorizing us to pay some money to advertise again. The second thing I put on here was just the budget impact. When we last looked at that from a budget perspective, we had the expectation that we would hire somebody in at $23 an hour. I don't think that's realistic. I think we need to change the budget to assume that we're gonna hire somebody in at 25. Because we've, that's sort of where the labor market is. Vermont is still the second lowest unemployment rate in the country. And there's not really anything we can do about that. So
Say something else about budget.
you may,
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure we took the CDL money out of the training too.
we probably did.
So if you plan on hiring someone with no CDL and trying to reverse them back.
Yep.
Have any money.
Okay, so that's two budget line items. And also, we do have it in the insurance, but at the lowest possible level, right?
Yep.
So. All right, so
And is Emily on the phone?
I do not see her.
So minutes, we're gonna have to scramble minutes.
I'm gonna ask her to join from the recording. I
Fair enough.
yeah.
Okay. Yep.
I didn't hear from her, so I assume she can, I'm gonna assume she can do that.
Good idea.
While you're doing budget stuff,
Yep,
I know you said to move it up to 25, but I would put a stipulate, however you want to do it, but you can find someone with fair amount of training and, maybe 27. Someone that's totally qualified for everything.
well, we did have some discussions earlier that would indicate the board was willing to go that high, and I think that the position itself might get more interest if we changed it from. I mean, right now, indeed, it was 19 to 25, and the reason it was down to 19 was simply because when I was posting it in Indeed, they said, oh, you guys are above the average for this kind of position, which of course they're basing on a lot of generalities and not maybe the same thing. But anyway, we had said 20 to 25 before. Should we be advertising it at a different rate?
I'm not saying advertise it at a different rate, but just budget wise, be able to maybe if you find someone.
I think we should advertise it. I think if you look at 19, someone's they're not gonna see the next part if they're like speed reading through the
Well, we
through the
certainly,
newspaper. So I would say something like target 27, depending on credentials or experience or something. Just say target, because that could be.
I think that, I'm not sure how the different platforms allowed me, whether they made me put a range in, but,
Well, you could still say 25 to 27 or, and then just subject to experience
okay.
and.
Is the rest of the board good with that? 25 to 27?
I mean, if somebody has very little experience, we'd have to be able to go under 25. If somebody has a lot of experience, we might want to consider the hiring.
Yeah,
unit.
someone scrappy and underqualified shows up and says, I want, they're qualified for the job. Well, we kind of have to go under 25, maybe. Sure. Looks better to start out higher. I support that.
Yeah, as long as we can backtrack if we need to on,
All right,
so
so
it just depends on how the ad is. Oh, there's Emily, yay.
okay, all right, good.
All right, I'm here. I'm sorry, I'm a few minutes late.
Okay, thank you.
Technical difficulties.
Okay.
Oh,
we had
sorry,
some-
I'm late. My mute was on. Technical difficulties.
Understood. All right, so I want to backtrack. I want to advertise at what we're likely to actually pay. If we think we would go 20, as low as 23 and up to 27, that's what I'd like to advertise at it. I don't want to say 25 and then have somebody come in here,
Okay.
spend all kinds of time with us and then say, oh, by the way, no, only 23 for you. So I think that gives us the span
Yeah, if
of
you need
somebody who's less qualified, but also like again, this reality check of. Okay, so, does somebody on the board want to make a motion that I can spend another 500 or 600, or I don't know. I think we started with 1,000. I don't know how much we spent so far, although it might be in the latest budget spreadsheet.
I move that we authorize Edie to advertise as appropriate for the new highway position. I think up to $1,000, you know, we have to fill this position.
Or a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded to allow us to advertise up to $1,000 for the highway position opening. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries 5-0. And then you know, just informally, 23 to 27.
Yeah, I agree. You can't definitely say a number and then go backwards.
Yeah.
Okay. And we will go back to those budget line pieces to say CDL and insurance, and the hourly rate, something gives us room to not wildly go over budget. Anything else on that? Okay, I said I would do hearing of visitors second because Mike wanted to leave. Mike, do you have more for us?
I have something that I want to vent about, so.
Okay.
Someone else has other stuff that you can take it long, I'm willing to wait, or if you want to hear my stuff, I'll say it.
I'll have you go ahead now.
Okay, so while we're going through budget stuff. With everything that's gone on with the talk of health insurance and everything else, just to kind of an FYI for everybody to know. In the last, since 07, since I've been here, when I was hired, it was a 45-hour work week. We got cut our 5 hours of overtime to save money. Since then, we've lost our uniforms, so now we get uniform allowance. So now we're washing everything in our own washer machines and destroying our own washing machines from pretty crude clothes at times from what we're wearing at work, or you just have a uniform company come wash all that stuff. You know, now there's talk of starting to cut some of the health insurance possibly. It's just, I don't know, I don't wanna say it like this and sound biased, but it's like, it's always the road crew that do it, it's just the whipping post, and it's like, I'm gonna say it frankly, and you guys can take it however you want. I mean, it's a new era now, it's an employee world, it's not an employer world anymore, so I just say, you know. Start putting a little thinking into what you're doing here, because we've already lost quite a bit of stuff in the last 17 and a half years that I've been here. For pay wise, for benefit wise. About all that.
What have you lost for benefits? Is your insurance gone down?
Uniform,
Just your uniform? Not your insurance?
uniforms, I mean.
You didn't get a cut in your insurance. Did you?
Yeah. I mean, we've jumped from different plans to HSAs and back to this plan, but no, not technically benefit.
Okay.
All right,
All I'm just saying is that, I mean, there's enough employees down there now that it's like, if we start paying a fair amount of our health insurance, if it goes up like what it has in the last few years. And we start paying a fair amount of health insurance without compensation on wage side of it to cover some of this, and you know, you start losing however many dollars an hour, like, people can't afford to live, like, they're not gonna stay here.
yeah, one of the things I thought about with the insurance, afterwards, after our last conversation is simply this. That money is not going directly to the employees. That money is going to the insurance companies. And so the idea that money, if, you know, again, we're doing a budget, we're doing our best to look into the future. We can't always see what's gonna happen. But we know that that is a huge dollar amount that we are spending. If we are shifting back to the employees, what I would say is, you know, shifting some of the cost to them. Well, maybe that extra money goes to their salaries as opposed to going to the insurance company, right? And that's kind of conversation we have to have over this next year.
Or, start, I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus by saying this, but start doing some homework and maybe switch to a different plan and, with a higher deductible and cover some of the, if you can save X thousands of dollars on the premiums and put, X dollars into into our deductible HSA or whatever you want to call it, save money that way, still kind of have somewhat equivalent insurance, so just save money with a higher deductible. I don't know, but I'm
Yeah.
not an insurance guru, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, I was trying,
We're looking into different plans and
Yep,
I was trying to stay away from going into a higher deductible because that is immediate out-of-pocket expense.
oh, well, what I'm saying is if you can get into a higher deductible plan, instead of the 130 you're paying now, maybe get into one for like 80, 90, 100, 110, whatever, and your deductible is like $5,000, put like $3,500 into each employee's deductible or something.
To
towards
cover the
their-
deductible,
towards
you
their
mean?
deductible,
Yeah.
you're still saving.
May I make a comment, Mike? On that?
yes, Mary, you may.
I think that's what I was saying when if you shift the cost, I've talked to a few crews and other, friends I have. And if you do a lower deductible and then when the person shift the money to the wages, do a lower deductible. So you're absolutely right, Edie, that it's going to a company and may never be used. There's a lot of people don't even use their policy. So that if there's a deductible, I'd rather see you pay their deductible if and when it happens than pay that 35,000 a year and never use it. I'd rather see a person get it to put meals on their table. So I think Mike's got a really good point.
Right, and I think that this conversation is one that we're gonna have to have over the course of the year, so I don't wanna take a lot of time with it. But I understand, Mike, where you're coming from, and, the issues that we have are not so different over all those years, right? It's a limited tax base, we've got people concerned about that overall, but we also wanna have a high-quality road crew that's happy to work here. And, that gets to the heart of the balancing act we have to do each and every day, so.
And I think that sounds like a really interesting way of looking at it. I think it's definitely something we should take time going forward to pursue, and anything we can do, especially in a situation like that, where the money actually goes to the employees into their W-2, that inures to their benefits going forward, right? That inures to future social security, it inures to, Medicare, it inures to all of that. The base salary, that all, it's tracked, and the more you have in that bank, the better off you're gonna be. So I would much rather see that go into a W-2.
I mean, another thing you gotta figure too is you sit here and watch it. It's not like we get paid to be on call, but we're expected to be here when it's not. It's like, that's all stuff that kind of gets taken for granted.
Indeed.
That's part of the job. That's,
So,
isn't it?
Well, like Green Mountain Power and Riggs and all these other companies don't get paid to be on call. Of course they do.
No, that's.
Yeah, folks
that's
get
a whole
paid.
different thing, but.
Yeah, folks get paid to get on call. This is hard.
Yeah, but, there's comes a time when, Oh, but
I'm not saying that we need to be getting paid on call. I'm just saying that you're asking an awful lot out of your employees, and it's always, not always, but when stuff really gets dirty, it always comes out of the highway, and it always comes out of the employee side, and it's like I said, in the 17 and a
Mike-
half been there, look at all the stuff that's already been looking at.
Tristan,
Mike.
did you have?
Yeah. I just want to say, Mike, I really hear where you're coming from. I think I appreciate how hard you guys work, how you work on call, how, it just dumps 3 inches all of a sudden. I'm thinking the other day, oh, there goes Mike's evening, and everyone's evening. Like, it's a big job. I just want to ask you for as much generosity as you can offer, that we're in the job of just like, trying to look out for taxpayers, trying to make ends meet for taxpayers. And we've got to look at everything, and highway wages are one of the biggest expenses. It's one of the, unfortunately, like other things that are also big expenses aren't as negotiable as we'd like them to be. So we spend time talking about wages just because, you know, we can't negotiate on salt. Really, we can just, you know, adjust the amount, but we can talk about wages. So it ends up being something we talk about, we have to look at, we have to poke at. I just like really hope you understand, everyone understands there's no, you know, we have to talk about everything, look at all ideas, and there's no disrespect for that. It's trying to look out for the whole town.
Just like you just said, I'm saying this for the benefit of the town, because I know you guys are sitting there saying we threaten this all the time, but I'm telling you right now, if 4 people walk out of a 4-man crew right now, they're gonna be SOL.
I don't believe they'll walk.
Okay, then take
That's not a, I
Then
don't
take that,
know,
you know.
that's, if
Just-
I could
yeah.
say something just sort of
Yeah.
real quickly. When we're talking about whatever the dollar amount is, and if we have to, and, you know, Tristan is right, you know, we've got commodity prices, but we do have the ability to take less volume of some of these commodities. And if our road crew is struggling to the point where they really can't make ends meet and we really will have trouble, people can go work anywhere, right? And this is a tough town to work in if you're plowing and doing this. And so, you know what? If we don't have as much sand, if we don't have as much gravel, well, maybe we lose, I don't know how many applications during the course of the year, but we may have to sort that out. Because I would personally, and this is me talking as a citizen, not sitting at this table, if my road was a little bit muddier for 2 more days and the guys were able to work, and I'd much rather have that. I'd much rather have a happier crew than a AAA rate road. We can get by with an A-.
And like I said, I'm not.
We can get
here
by
to
with a
have
B+ like the
discussion
other
and
towns.
debate on this, I'm just here to give you kind of a heads up.
Okay, appreciate your time. Anybody else have things on this topic? Okay. Welcome. Hearing of visitors, would you like to say anything?
No, I'm just, running for office and, you know, as you are good too.
Indeed.
Yeah. No, just wanted to come out and get more involved.
Great. Excellent, glad to have you here.
And I'm sorry, you are. And could you spell your names? I don't know if Emily knows you, just for the minutes.
Okay. Lori's Lori, Marcagiani is Marchegiani.
I love hearing you pronounce it because I have been, I'm sure I've butchered it numerous times, so I'm trying to write it as I'm trying to write it as phonetically.
Is the last name Marcagiani?
Yes,
Yes.
that was good.
Oh, okay, I know how to spell that. I went to school with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, thank you. Welcome. Do you have anything, Nancy? Oh, no. No? Okay. Mary, do you have anything else? For hearing of visitors?
No, I'm fine. I think it's a discussion that we're gonna be talking about a lot in the coming months, so we
Yeah,
can do it then.
yep. And Stephanie, do you have anything for hearing of visitors?
No, I don't, thanks.
All right, well, thank you all for joining us. We are going to move into our old business, which the first piece we're going to talk about is the professional audit with 2 parts to it. The first one has to do with the NEMRIC software transition cost and approving that. Karen sent some information to the board in advance. And I'm going to let her do the talking.
Yeah, so. It's so hard to read. Is that it? Is that? Nope. Oh,
Page 2 of the document.
no. And I was looking, yeah. So NEMRIC is the same for folks who are new to this and haven't been following us closely. NEMRIC is a software that is used throughout Vermont by municipalities. Halifax uses it already. Mary can speak to that. We use it for listers. Patty uses it for some of her sort of town needs. When we had the last professional audit by Batchelder Associates, which was in 2022, one of the major recommendations was that we convert ourselves and move from QuickBooks to NEMRIC, which we are trying to do that now. The more time I have spent since I joined the board to today, the QuickBooks system is something that is, it's impossible. It's impossible to work with. We aren't able to get the reporting that we need to understand everything that we need to do at any point in time. We should be able to know exactly where we are at any point in time, and it's just not possible because of the way QuickBooks is oriented, and it doesn't provide for the fund accounting, like the reserve funds, like the general fund. It's really geared to businesses. So we had initiated several conversations. We got a proposal back, and the proposal is again to audit fiscal 25. And the way that would work is we have the ability to get 4 modules, which would be accounts payable, payroll, cash receipts, and fixed assets. We can get those right away. We can pay for those at any point that the board and the treasurer kind of deem is in the best interest of the town. So they work with small towns all the time. So if we think it should be a current 25 budget item, which means we'll go over budget, or it'll be a 26 item, we can do that. That amount for the modules is $7,180. Now, interestingly, one of the most important modules, the general ledger, we've owned since 1995 and have never used. Now, we probably never used it because we didn't have the other modules. How we got the general ledger and everything else, but that's old news. So we will have that, but we don't, it's old news, so we don't have to pay for that. The next part is that there's a conversion consultation, because it's very difficult to go from one system to another. And in my prior life, I have done probably 4 or 5 pretty big conversions, and it involves a lot of data mapping. It involves a lot of Excel, kind of ticking and tying. And I probably spent 45 minutes on the phone with NEMRIC, and I guess with some of the questions I was asking, she was getting comfortable that between Patty and I, we would be able to do a lot of the heavy lifting ourselves, but it's a lot of heavy lifting. So her view is that the hours to get this conversion going would range between 25 hours and 50 hours. So that means that it's a flat rate of $145 an hour. So at the low end, which I think is unreasonably low, 25 hours would be $3,625. At the high end, 50 hours, the cost would be $7,250. Now, I think what's going to happen is there's probably going to be a few more hours, maybe 4 or 5 hours, I would suspect, getting us started, getting us doing the chart of accounts. I mean, it's really like building an infrastructure from the bottom up. They have a format. We'll need to work through how we want to arrange it, and then you map the name of one account to the name of the QuickBooks account. Then you start off and you put the opening balance in there. But that means you have to have a completed 25 audit, because you need to put the right number in there, right? It's a number we don't have today. But what we do have today are things like income and accounts payable, and we can start setting up portions of the general ledger. So what we were hoping, and what the recommendation from NEMRIC was, is that we could acquire the modules immediately. We would start the project as soon as possible so that we can go live with the software on July 1, 2025. That would be the goal. So the first year we would have the benefit of fully functional NEMRIC financial statements would be for fiscal 26. So the opening balances that we'll use to kick off the software is gonna be the closing balances from the professional audit that ends in 25, for June 30, 25. So at the high end, at the 50-hour consultation period, the total estimated cost of the conversion is 14,430. And that 14,430 can be payable across 25 and 26. I don't believe we can pay it into 27. I think that's a bridge too far.
No, when we were doing the budget, didn't we put some money in there for some of this
Yeah, let me,
software and or conversion?
we did. So
For
let me
26.
see if we can pull that up.
Those process. Keep in mind, where we born. Let's see.
Let's see if I can pull this up one
That's
second.
not so great. I saw that. Isn't it?
Come on. We do have internet, right? Oh, here we go. It's coming. It's coming.
It's been buffering a lot.
Yeah, it's slow. Okay, so let's go. Let me find it and then I'll share my screen. Accounting services, hardware and software. Okay. So all right, let's see if I can.
6330 and 6310. Because the ballpark area.
Okay, so we're looking at account 6330. Yep, that's right, Edie. And so what we've done here, the 16. That amount was 7,000,
Just the others.
which is the other side. So it's the treasurer and listers, and which is 5,900 plus another 850 for disaster recovery. And then there's a $9,000 amount, which was for the accounting modules, which is 7,180. What's not in there is the consulting fees. And I think as a practical matter, because the work is going to be done between now and the 1st of July, that is a physical account. I mean, it's, people are working in this calendar year. So that would be a fiscal 25 expense.
Yeah.
So I talked to Patty, I talked to Nemrick, and we can do whatever we think makes sense, but I think as a practical matter and as a, I think it just makes more sense to do the consulting in this period. And then pay for the modules in 26, in the
It says
26
They
budget.
want to bill us weekly for the
They do.
stuff. That you should let them know we only do orders every other week. They
Yeah.
can bill us weekly.
They can
whether
bill
or
us
not they're
weekly, but we're gonna
hit
pay
it.
them bi-weekly. But, at first I thought that was gonna be onerous and, kind of difficult, but it's really everybody's gonna know how much time we're spending. Right? So it's not like we're gonna, crank in, see, Mike, it's not like we're gonna crank in, 180 hours and then say, oh, I didn't know it was that much. Right? And then it's a big,
Yeah.
big surprise. So, I think that is definitely a pay as you go. Which I don't think is unreasonable.
So in terms of the budget, then, we're gonna be going over budget this year. Because
So yeah, so let's,
like, technically, there's no line item for it.
right, so
in the
let,
current year, which is fine.
correct, let's look at this, Edie, if I could just hold on, this green right here, this 979. Right here, where I am, so 16 is what we're looking at, the blue is the budget for 26, the green is the spend for this year. And 7,000 is our total budget for this year. This can go up here, that's budget for 25. Okay, so that's the number there. This number will probably spend you know, it may end up being close to 14, right? So we'll spend the 7 that was in there, which was the, you know, the listers and the treasurer. And then what's not in there is the services, which would be the consulting services. This is where we'll see the number in our spend, and then we come through the orders.
Can I ask a question?
You know,
So I know you're talking about the 4 modules now. Do you have to pay, is there like a yearly maintenance fee? You have to pay every year that would include, like updates or upgrades of modules?
No, we get free cloud and we get all that stuff, so no, it's a,
Because you, I mean, you probably know a lot of those, and have to update them.
yeah, we
So-
get updates and.
one-time fee, and then there is a disaster recovery fee. that's-
Yeah, but and I did ask that question,
Yeah.
and so we already have it, so I said, well, you know, are you gonna be backing this up? Oh, you know, this
Yeah.
is our financial system, we can't be messing around, and she says, nope, we've got, you know, whatever it is, nightly backups, and we're already paying for it, so.
So one-time fees, there was a possibility of a cost discount if we did it this year.
Yeah, I talked to her about that, it was basically, they would credit us 1 module, which is $1,795.
Yeah.
But when I was talking to her, she's like, yeah, that doesn't really work if you pay for the modules in the next year. She goes, it's really just kind of, it's bullet point, she goes, she thought about not putting it in, she just didn't think it was practical.
Well, yeah, and, you
So
know,
if we wanna pay for everything now, then we save $1,795. But what is the
So-
budget impact? So,
yeah, there's a budget impact this year, for sure. What I was looking at, and I think one of the things like today has just been, well, the national news has been a little crazy today. Cause I, at this point, don't trust we're gonna get any federal funding next year. Well, in the next couple of weeks, so that ERAF funding. That, you know, we have money that we're expecting to come back in from FEMA. It should cover these kinds of things. But I'm more, you know, I just want to say, like, I'm not feeling super confident about stuff like that at the moment, so. Even though you know, it annoys me to pay an extra $1,800 or something. I don't trust that we can buy this and pay for it in the next 20 days and feel comfortable that we're not gonna end up with another problem somewhere along the line here.
yeah, because for the 25 numbers, it's a surprise $14,000.
Yeah,
So that was not part of the 25 budget. The 14,000.
nope.
So you're saying it's a you would take.
So basically, we have to pay our bills. And, you know, if we go over some years or under some years, you know, then we end up not being able to deal with that until the following fiscal year.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just one of those things where, to my mind, at this point, it's the cost of doing business. It didn't get budgeted, you know, like, here we go.
Is that one older module? And I may have misunderstood you. You know, you talked about the 4 modules, one of which we already funded.
There's 5 modules,
Okay.
4 are new, the general ledger, will get the current.
Yeah, and so the one that we already had is not obsolete because.
Not that I know of. No,
Say we had since what?
95.
But it was a one-time fee. We probably only paid $17.95 for it then.
Right.
But it sounds
Right.
like this is infinitely upgradable, pretty much.
Yeah, so what, the next thing that we're gonna do, if we proceed, is we're gonna have a demo. It'll be Patty and I and another member of the board. You know, we can't have 3 of us, because then it's a meeting, but 2 of us.
Set up a meeting.
Right, well, we could, but that gets nuts. But if it's, you know, 3 of us, and Edie, if you had originally thought you might be interested, but, you know, anybody. We're gonna go through a demo, and, you know, this is the sort of thing where you enter one number and it goes into 3 different places. Right now, QuickBooks is triple entry. And then you have to throw in an Excel file to do a bunch of adjustments. So this is infinitely better. And I think we're gonna try and do that demo as quickly as we can. Patty will get a chance to see, how it's gonna improve things as far as reporting and, Edie, you and I have had discussions about what is our debt capacity and how do we calculate our debt capacity? So there's a report, so we're gonna wanna go to that demo meeting with the idea of what kind of reporting do we want to get, and then they will help us design the system that gets us that kind of information. And she's gonna have, a view on what other towns look at, and so there's gonna be standard reports, and no doubt we'll find that there's other reports that may be a custom report. How important is that custom report? But we'll have to, that becomes part of that conversation.
Okay. So to move ahead with this, we need a motion to begin the conversion to Nemrick and purchase the software modules that we need. Yes,
Yeah, I make it easier, right?
Right, and in that motion,
Much.
we suggest that we pay for that out of the 26 budget.
for the software.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think somebody else should move in seconds,
Yeah,
since
I
I'm so
agree.
close to it.
I agree. So I'd like to make a motion that we purchase the Nemrick software, including modules for accounts payable, payroll, cash receipts, and fixed assets. Paying for those modules in FY 26 and doing a conversion consultation with them at the cost of $145 an hour. That would be billed as throughout the course of this fiscal year. With an expectation that that would be $72.50.
I would say up to
yeah.
72.
Yeah, well, it is gonna be what it is, right? But that's the estimate that we have for costs that would be in this fiscal year. So that is my motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, a motion has been made and seconded to go ahead and purchase the Nemrick accounting software, including accounts payable, payroll, cash receipts, fixed assets. And the conversion consultation at a rate of $145 an hour, with an expectation that that would be paid this fiscal year. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries 5-0. Okay, I got that part done. Now we gotta talk about the professional audit and Batchelder Associates costs. Which is the first page of what we have here.
And Tristan, you've got the what I circulated, right? That summary?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Okay, I'll make sure.
Do we wanna stop screen sharing for a moment, or will this be?
Oh,
Would it be useful looking it up?
no, we can. If we have to go back to it, I can grab it. So Batchelder and Associates did three most recent audits that Batchelder did was fiscal 2020, fiscal 21, and fiscal 22. And repaid in fiscal 22 for the two audits at $14,000 a year. So that was $28,000 that we paid in 2022 for the audit costs for 2 years. In fiscal 22, the audit cost $15,000, and that was paid for in fiscal 23. So for 3 years, the audit costs were $43,000. When I reached out to Batchelder at the beginning of January, and I'll read this for those of you who don't have copies. Bonnie came back because I asked, I said, okay, so we're approaching this audit that we need for 25, and just wanted to see what her thoughts were. So she says, doing a 3-year audit is very difficult and does not save the town much money. In order to do an audit for June 30, 25, which is, we would need to go back and verify that the carry forward balances are correct for fund balances, capital assets, debt service, and retirement. We would need to gain comfort level that all activity in that period is reasonable and fairly stated. Basically, we would need to gain a comfort level that all activity is fairly stated and that we can rely on all the activity from July 1, 2022 through June 30, 25. This is not an easy task. Standards have changed tremendously in the last few years, requiring increased oversight. Client levels of skill, knowledge, and experience, among other items. As I recall, you used QuickBooks, which was a strong recommendation to move to NEMRIC. QuickBooks use adds an additional layer of complexity as it is not fund-based. I'd be happy to discuss with you, but feel it is important to identify the areas of difficulty. So she and I ended up having about a 45-minute conversation. I told her that we were moving to NEMRIC or trying to move to NEMRIC. Her biggest comment, which is really important if you're an auditor, right, is what is the knowledge, experience, and skill level of the people that are basically touching the accounts and touching the money. Not unlike many, many small towns in Vermont, you know, we don't have people who are, you know, CPAs in municipal accounting. So she understands that. So she then spent some time talking to me. We went through some of my, you know, my background. You know, she understands that, you know, I said my expectation was it hadn't happened, but I said, you know, push comes to shove, I suspect that the board might ask me to help spearhead work with Patty on the audit. And so we talked a little bit then about my background. So when I spoke with her again more recent, and that was sort of it. We had that conversation, and then I asked for her audit proposal. So the audit proposal, and this was a bit of an eye opener. The audit cost proposal that I received on January 21st for fiscal 2023 was 8,000 to 10,000. For fiscal 24, 8,000 to 10,000. And for fiscal 25, 28,500. Now, the reason for the difference is that fiscal 25 is a full audit. Full audit. They sign off on it. The other 2 years, 23 and 24, that's the part where they have to basically pour through QuickBooks because this is the problem with doing things every 3 years, because you don't have opening and closing balances that are verifiable. And so we have to basically recreate financials or create financials or take those financials and put them in a way that Batchelder can go back and say, oh, here's the select board order for that, and here's the highway order for that. And we have to have balances for all the funds. And so the funds are like the cemetery fund and the general fund. And so last time we were all together, I said municipal financial statements are a kind of very unique breed unto themselves, and anybody who has done a lot of cooking and spent some time with the Julia Child cookbook, you think you're making something, and then you have to go to 5 different parts of the cookbook and say, oh, this is how you do this, and this is how you do that. And that's basically what goes on here. So our one financial statement for the town is actually probably 6 or 7 mini financials. So in order to have opening and closing balances, she can't get from 22 to the beginning of 25 without doing a bunch of work. So that's basically what's going on there. I spoke with her on the 27th, and I asked her about, well, now that we're going to NEMRIC, is that going to change things? And she said, well, no, because we're auditing the QuickBooks version. NEMRIC is coming in the back end. Going forward, we'll have the benefit of NEMRIC. But the price of financial statements, because of what other audit firms, the pressure that they're under with their new standards and what they're required to do, you know, it's gone up from what was 15 to now 28.
So in theory,
Yeah.
Once we're all converted over, it should be easier and less expensive.
It should be, but it'll probably be running at about 24 grand a year to do the audit. Because that's just what it is. At that point, you know, we can scope around and see, but there aren't that many CPAs and prices have gone up. I have not tried to get an RFP. I didn't really, I'm not recommending that we do that because this particular audit firm has all of the numbers that we need to start. If we brought somebody else in, they would have to basically recreate everything from the 22 audit to start testing. So having this audit, not having annual audits has created a bit of a data nightmare for us.
So at one point, right, at some point, when she did the very first audit, the first audit we had done professionally, since we had some audits done, we had a single audit done for FEMA, for Tropical Storm Irene, which is a different beast, I guess, but at some point you gotta say, here's the start point. Does it always have to be 3 years back? I mean, like, again, that's.
It has to be every single year is your start point. And if.
But she didn't go past FY 2022, when she did the audit for FY.
She did 20, and then she did 21, and then she did 22.
Okay,
So I don't know what she started with 20.
okay, yeah, so that's sort of my thing is like, I pulled together just some history as to how we got here in terms of what the voters asked us to do. So in 2021, the warning for the annual town meeting, there was an article that said, shall the town raise and appropriate an amount not to exceed 15,000 to fund an audit for the town's financial records by a certified public accountant for FY 2020. That must have passed, right? And
Yeah,
we did it for $14,000. The article immediately following that was, shall the voters eliminate the office of auditor to appoint a Vermont licensed certified CPA firm to conduct financial audits beginning with FY 2020 in accordance with the statute. All right, so those two things passed in 2021. In 2022, we went to town meeting and there was an article that said, will the voters support the return of the 3 elected auditors, each for a term of 3 years staggered? Okay, so then we brought back in local people.
Yeah.
All right, then in 2023, we had an article that said, shall the town authorize audits to be provided by a public accountant licensed in this state every 3rd year, starting with an audit of FY 25. That's why we're having this conversation now, because the voters said we would do that. And they established a reserve fund called the Audit Reserve Fund, which the initial funding was this $5,000, right? So this town, what the town was expecting was that every 3 years we could say, yeah, can you go take a look, right? Doesn't seem to be the reality of the current situation. And I sort of feel like the answer is that we need to proceed with this firm this year and suck this cost up that we drastically underestimated. But I do think that before long, I would like to understand, what are other little towns doing? Because this is a lot of money every single year for us. Are other towns going through an audit every single year? I mean, like, I don't know. I just simply don't know. And I think some more guidance.
If I could finish, so sort of two things, and it's a really important distinction to make between a professional public auditing firm. They are putting their reputation on the line when they say, this group that I'm auditing is not messing around.
Yep.
It's fair. Maybe there's things they can do better, maybe whatever, but they're not messing around, right? It is you're getting the gold seal of approval, which is why when we talk about getting municipal finance, they want you to audit financials. They don't want to have to try and hope that what they're looking at is fair and reasonable, right? They're looking at an accurate representation. They're going to look at what is our debt capacity, right? The only way they can do that is by a proper audit, by a proper financial statements. The appointed auditors, they have the same name, auditor. They are nothing alike.
Understood.
But but I just need people, because if someone says, well, we have auditors, why, we're only paying them, under $5,000 for the whole crowd versus this. So it's very, very they're not at all equivalent.
Understood, but to say like, if the movement of all Vermont towns is towards having an annual professional audit, I'd like to know that going forward, right? We are in for this. The voters said do it in FY 25. I think we have to do it, and I think we have to pay whatever costs are here. But I do just sort of want to say, that as we look to move forward, I am in favor of trying to figure out, if this cost is sustainable. Now, what are we gonna get for it? Possibly the chance to borrow money at better rates.
Well, actually, what we get for it is peace of mind. Okay, well, no, wait, let me finish, because I have a level of financial background, and when I joined the board, it, in my wildest dreams ever occurred to me that an organization of any shape or size that handled somebody else's money wouldn't have an annual audit. It never even crossed my mind. It was on the board, so okay, we're doing this, and I actually thought, I'm like, okay, we're gonna get an audit of the interim years, we're just not gonna get it, we're just delaying it. It wasn't until January 27th that I realized, no, we're not getting an audit of the interim years. We're just getting some balances close. And all I can say, this is I cannot be on a board that, for an organization that handles this much money that doesn't have an annual audit. The risk is too high. If anybody can come and say, you know what, Karen, I think you're messing around with it, and I'm gonna throw a lawsuit at you, and I can't prove that I have comfort with the numbers. The only way I can say, no, we did everything right. The money came in. We talked to the taxpayers. They say, we want to put this much on this line item and that much over there, and this much should go in a bridge. The only way any of us, including our treasurer, can be protected is if we have an audit. Somebody comes in and says, yep, my reputation is on the line and you guys are doing it right. But I cannot be on a board where that doesn't happen.
Understood.
So I think it would definitely improve my risk profile, but as we're talking about the warning, we may want to put that on there, because what is the plan for auditing for 2026? We don't have a plan at this moment. Now the plan is to go from 25 to 28. That's
So
what the current path is.
what I don't know is, I mean, so like,
I don't get
from,
that either.
from a
Is that
reasonable, right, so from a reasonable perspective, I would argue that as a board, we could say, no, of course we're gonna do an audit, right? We could have that conversation and we could budget for that in FY 26. 27 rather, right? FY 26, we're gonna deal with tonight, right? We can have that and we can make that question. I think it would be good to sort of check in with the LCT to make sure we don't ever need to bring that question back to, I think the reason that it came up, right, that first time had to do with the fact that they were planning to eliminate this office of auditors, right? And
Is
then
the Office of Auditors a statutory requirement?
you can eliminate it as we did by voting on it. And
I mean, I
we would
think
have
it's a
to
great
go-
idea.
We would have to go through that process again. Now,
Was the reason that you eliminated the local auditors because you couldn't find a local auditor?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I have no idea how it got on the ballot. I don't think I was a resident at the time it was on the ballot, so,
I
you know,
know
like,
that.
I don't know if it was a petition that voters signed that said we want to do this. That's my guess. Based, yeah,
I mean, I
I
think
do
having those auditors is a really good thing. The appointed or elected auditors is a really, really good thing. It is a real-time check on the cash, right? It's a check on the cash. It is a very specific function.
yeah, I
But-
think people are gonna look at $28,000 or $24,000 a year and say, well, why am I spending an additional three and a half?
Well, and that's a fair point,
And we still don't have anybody running for audit right now.
right?
So,
Right, and that is a
So,
fair point, but as in my perfect fantasy world,
yes,
we would have all of it.
yes.
So I
Oh, yeah.
never thought about the fact that to do an audit for a year, you really have to go back. Never thought about that until you brought that up. And I think maybe we're gonna have an informational meeting, correct?
Yes,
I think this is something that should come up.
Oh, yeah.
so how about this, though?
Oh, and wait, before we do,
Yeah.
one thing, just as a, when I was talking to. When I was talking to Nemrick, and I was, sort of, I was thinking, well, I'm sitting here. And I'm feeling a little nauseous while I'm talking to her, saying, okay, let's talk about 23 and 24. Can we create financial statements if we start with 22 from the audit? Can we use Nemrick to start 22? And she said, basically, she says, that is a job I wouldn't ever take. I would withdraw the proposal. It is too much work. Because to do the 22, then the 23 and the 24, she said that, you could have a full-time job, and she just said that is not a job that, she goes, I do not have that kind of time.
Yeah, so to the point about informational meeting, should be talking about the current budget, right? But I think that we last year had a special meeting after town meeting to talk about other stuff that was non-binding business. And that would be where that question about, we need to do an audit.
Oh, every year?
Every year might be brought up, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
if
yeah.
that's the protocol, because if we're talking about what is the budget for 26, the number's gonna be whatever
Yeah,
we put in the box.
but I think
But for
again,
going beyond that, I think
yeah,
having it in the information, I think Randy's right. I think it is a,
Well, I mean,
we have to
important
justify,
topic.
we have to justify the cost. And if,
Yeah.
if people wanna hear us say, well, clearly it got screwed up for 3 years
you
and now
need
we're
to
making it.
explain,
Yeah,
what
yeah.
this is all about, and you know me, I don't like to spend extra money.
Yeah.
So, but the point is if you spend all this money to do the audit now, it almost kind of makes sense to keep the audit going if,
that is the only way that you can have confidence that you're gonna have someone, whether it's the same someone or a different someone, can pick up and go the next year, because you have to have a hard close of the financial statement.
Okay. So, circling us back to a decision. I believe we have little choice other than to accept the audit cost proposal received from Batchelder Associates. Do we want to make a motion?
And before we,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, before we do that. So there is just so people, who are listening. She said that the cost going forward, to your point, Randy, she says going forward, it's likely to be about at least, 24,000 a year. And that's on the assumption that it's reflective of our internal control profile. Which means, our treasurer has some DLCT training that has to get done and kept current. And the satisfactory conversion to Nemrick, which she knows the people at Nemrick, and she seems to have confidence that we're gonna be able to do that. Her strong recommendation going forward is the town has an annual audit as a way to both save money and provide assurances that the accounting is correct each and every year. The work to be done for each accounting period, there are 9. It'll take a while to read. I'm happy to go through it.
No, thank you.
So that's all that. And then she said, this is to explain the work, though, that's gonna happen in 23 and 24, because it's not this 50-page report. She goes, for 23 and 24, this includes no audit report, but a review and testing of these 9 lists of items. This does not include presenting the trial balance in a fund format, but review only. So the trial balance for each of these is something that Patty and I are gonna have to figure out how to do if QuickBooks doesn't already do them. I'm gonna have to figure out a way to do it in Excel. Because the client is responsible, which is us, for preparing the fixed asset schedule, debt schedule, pension schedule, fund trial balance, and the due to, due from schedules between funds. The complicated one there is the due to, due froms, but I believe we have those with, we've been getting, Patty said we had the accruals done for the last couple of years, so that we should be okay, but I haven't tested that myself. We can assist with the conversion to the statement of net position activity. Schedule used in the 22 audit will be provided to the client as a starting point.
So I think that, down the road, if we, do this and we do decide that we do audits every year. One thing you said back a little bit ago was going with Batchelder. They have numbers, they already have the stuff. When there's an audit done, we obviously get the report, we have all the information, or did they keep a portion of it?
That was something that Patrick and I early
Because
on tried to get copies of, and we didn't have copies of things that we needed for some of the, like the capital. There's just a bunch of things because the accounting is different
Mhm.
from QuickBooks, and it doesn't appear that we ever got those, so
Well,
and
once
I don't know
it's
why.
all set up in Nemrick, if there's an audit done, would you get, I'm just asking, do you know if you would get all the information so that if the next year you decided you wanted to shop around to see if somebody else could
Yeah, we
use
just have to
this?
make sure that happens, right? As part of the day-to-day work. I mean, because I used to spend a lot of time on the sticky end of audits, and working with big firms. And yeah, you basically partner with them, get the data done. I would do a schedule and Rhonda's the auditor and she would look at it and she would go, yeah, that's how we do it. Okay, that looks good. Or no, you have to do something else. It seems to me that Batchelder did everything. And that's not gonna happen this time because I'm gonna have to be more involved and we will just have them as real time. Once it's in Nemrick, it's not in Excel anymore. All those balances are there,
So it would be easier to,
much.
if we want to have somebody else. look at it.
Much, and we can say, okay, now we can get the financial statements that we need. We could get them monthly, as long as the data keeps up with the schedule. But one of the things, and this goes back to internal controls that we have to do, is we have to have a financial policy. So that's a whole different conversation, but anyway, wanted to fill you in on that bit.
All right. All right, I'm looking at some chat stuff up here. Is the select board bonded? I believe we are through VLCT. Might take more time for the treasurer. It might be less time for the treasurer too, if the software is not as cumbersome and ill-suited for the, I thought we were making an improvement when we went to QuickBooks, by the way, from Excel or whatever pieces of paper we were working from.
I'm sure it was, yes. I
Anyway.
bet it was.
All that to say. So I'd like to make a motion that we move ahead with the audit cost proposal received from Batchelder Associates on January 21st, 2025. That will give us review and testing of FY23 and FY24 and a full audit of FY25. The high estimate is $48,500.
And
Do I have a
I second that.
and the last for discussion again comes down to the period in which we would pay for this.
No, that's in the budget piece. That's gonna be the next piece when we go into the finalized budget.
Okay,
Because this already says budget period we would be built in, right? So we can talk about that, but
there's
okay. All right, so we can do under other discussion. Any other discussion? What my thinking is, Karen, is that we already have 10,000 in reserve fund to cover one of these things. We have another 10,000 we're gonna suck up and be over budget on. And then the next stuff is the 28.5 is gonna be put in the reserve fund for the coming fiscal year. Instead of 8,000, it's gonna be 28.5.
we'll have to go through that because there's consulting that would start pretty darn quick with her for the 23 and 24.
Right, understood.
Okay.
We're gonna be over $10,000 this
Okay,
year.
okay.
And we have $10,000 sitting in a reserve fund we might as well use, right? But that reserve fund, when we get to the budget part, we have to talk about whether we're only funding 28.5 or whether we're gonna throw an extra 12,000 in there for the next year's audit. Anyway. Any other discussion around bringing Batchelder in to do this work? All those in favor say aye.
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 Kristen? And I, so the motion carries 5-0 again. All right. See why I needed to do some deep breathing before we start?
Yep.
Excellent. Karen, I want to say thank you.
I've been
for-
nauseous for the last 4 days.
Yeah, thank you for all of this. It's not fun stuff.
You want my copy?
Okay, now we're gonna go into finalize the budget for the town warning.
Oh, yeah, I'll do it afterwards. Okay, thank you. I'll put it in.
All right, so we'd like to do some screen sharing of the budget sheets again, and I would propose that we start with the audit pieces for the current for the FY 26 budget and look at those lines that we need to update. Accounting services reserve, we were gonna put 8,000 in it. I think we need to put at least 28.5 in it now.
So for this. So the 8. So my note here, when I was thinking about it, is anticipate additional audit costs of 20,005. That would get us to 28.5.
Just put 28.5, that's what we're gonna spend for that fiscal year, right?
We can do that. Well, that, yes, I didn't
That's-
want to change it until we
yeah,
spoke,
Yep,
so.
indeed, yep. Okay. I'm saying I'm not wanting to put $12,000 or anything else in that reserve fund. I mean, it feels like we're gonna end up funding each year for the next year.
That is right. I think it was set up as a reserve because we were looking several years in
Because we
advance.
thought we were only gonna do an audit once every 3 years, so. All right, so that's done. Let's swing back to the Halifax Department salaries, training, insurance stuff that we talked about at the beginning of the meeting. for
Okay,
finalizing.
one second, let me get over here. Okay, there's that. All right, I'm sorry, where are we headed now?
What's on 52 that's got still, is that this,
The 16, that is Nemrick.
okay,
So that,
so let's just leave that. Again, the money that we're gonna spend for consulting this year is gonna hit this fiscal year budget and we'll.
so it doesn't need to be 9,000,
That's true. What does it need to be?
because if we think we're gonna have most of there may be a little bit of consulting perhaps in 26. But the modules for
It's
next
8.
year,
I mean,
got a piece of paper. The
seven-
modules
7,000.
should be 7,180.
Okay, let's put it at 7,500.
Whoops. Wait a minute, what just happened? Sorry.
We've added some.
That should be 7,180.
All right.
Now we're headed to highway.
Now let's go to highway. All right. Was there a separate worksheet that we did?
Mhm.
Wages?
Yeah, let me see if I can, let me stop sharing for a moment. Let me go find it.
So let's start the conversation while she's looking for the spreadsheet. Our expected range for a new person is somewhere between 23 and 27 an hour. Do we budget for the 27? Do we budget for the 23? Do we split the difference and change it to 25? Right now, it's budgeted at 23. I don't know that we're gonna find anybody at that rate. So that's why I think it's just unrealistic to say we will. So I'd like to argue that we put it at 25. That doesn't give Mike the buffer he would like to say, well, if you end up finding somebody who we can get for 27 an hour,
Mm.
then we go over budget again.
Sometimes you,
What is our overage right now on this?
all right, so hold on, let me, I've got names on here, so I want these names. Share screen.
I think it's cleaner to budget high. Doesn't sound like me, I know, but I think it's.
Yes.
Where's
cleaner-
Randy?
It's cleaner to budget high than to,
Yeah.
than to, oops, we do, let's add more.
Yeah,
All right,
right.
so put it in at 27.
So this 23 is there.
Yeah, because. And is that calculating?
Let's see what it's supposed to do. We have over here. Four, six,
That was just better to save money.
6, 1, 8, 8.
Budget, yeah.
Oh, hold on.
Well, we wouldn't
Hold
want to
on.
be in a situation
This
where
is
we're
23.
sort of constantly having a huge surplus, because then,
No,
but
No, for
we've had
sure.
loss.
Okay, so this number here. That number, that is the number that we put in wages.
Times 2.5%.
Well, wait 1 second, that's the number we put in there. So we do that. This 314. That's the number, that's where that would go,
And proposed 26.
right?
Yep.
So that becomes 314. What did I say it was?
314.6.
Oops. 314,716.
Was the amount that was,
716.
social security increase for this year, so that's what we started as a cost of living. current.
Yeah, and that was already in there.
Yeah.
314,716.
And 716. Now, do we need to update overtime?
I think well, let's see what we have.
Time
43,39. What were we showing overtime in the,
48,578.
what was it, 48,578?
Yeah, so it's a little.
Might be that number. Because that would have been, that includes the 25. 49,930. So if this, let's just see let me go back to just,
That's probably the right one.
right, if it was 23, what was the number that we were showing in the old version
The old
that you
version
have?
has 48,578.
Yeah, that's this number, 48,578, that would be there. So it's gonna be that, and so if we make this 27, it becomes 49,930. We wanna just make it 50? Or do you wanna leave the exact number, cause it's easy to go back and forth? 49,931,
Seem to be
that's
more
fine,
precise on everything else. so-
yep, 49,931, it makes it easier to find what we're doing. This note, pending. Okay,
Yeah, that's really old note.
yeah. Is pending invoice, oh, and we got the invoice for that reimbursement, so.
All right, take that increase 5K from the sheriff, sure.
Mhm.
All right, so now instead of the highway wage and stuff going up 2.69%, we're up 5.54%, and that is need a new person, and highway people are hard to find.
Is this replacing someone or it's a new position?
It's replacing someone. I mean, we've had a vacancy since what, October?
Well, we've had a series of vacancies, we've had 3 vacancies since I've been here in that same seat.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, unfortunately, in a small town. I'm sure you probably get guys that get the experience and they're like,
that has happened in one of our instances indeed. Yep. Yep. Okay, the other thing we wanted to look at was CDL training. So that would have been in 7210 maybe.
7210.
Yeah.
Let's find it. Sorry, guys. I'm gonna, well. Don't look at the screen, everybody. I don't wanna make you nauseous. 7210.
Conferences and training, we had taken it down from 2,600 to 2,250 because we thought we had somebody with the credential, so it feels like to include CDL training costs, 5,500 and 4 payments.
The heck does that mean?
So what I think that we did last time, we had somebody who was getting their CDL, was we had a schedule of some sort with them to say, okay, after your first 3 months of training, you get this much, after your next 3 months
Oh.
of training, you get that much. And when they left, after getting the credential, they didn't get their last payment because of the timing of that arrangement, right? So,
Yeah.
but we paid for most of that.
When we hire somebody and pay for their getting their CDL, do we do some sort of a agreement, contract,
That's
whatever?
kind of what Pete had set up, I thought.
You know,
That's-
that
that's-
basically they have to stay with us a
For
certain
some
amount of
period
time,
of time,
or
or
else
they owe us.
reimburse us.
Yeah, and if we don't
should
have
do
that, yeah, that's.
I don't know how it was set up, but I do know we didn't end up paying for the full amount of that person's
I-
time because they weren't here. So anyway, let's just put a number in. Go ahead, Tristan.
Oh, I could speak to that if it'd be helpful, but just briefly, it's up to, you make an agreement with a person. It's really hard to just sort of kind of force someone to stay on if they don't really want to. So that kind of the simplest thing, doing spacing out the payments, and that seemed to be pretty fair.
Yeah,
As
yeah,
long as they reimburse
Yeah.
the costs. And
Well,
Yeah, I mean, and
Well-
that's normal if you work for a company and, they're paying for your education and then, you get Ds, they're like, yeah, no, we won't be paying for that. And you have
We'll
to pay
have to
for it
think, we'll
yourself,
have to think
so
about whether we can,
there's a corollary.
yeah. We'll have to think about whether we can do that because we do hire people it's at will and
Yeah,
payment.
it is, okay.
Yeah, you can't chain them to the truck.
No, understood.
Right, so, all right, so let's put in,
Is it 5,500?
yeah, how much is it, like, to get a CDL?
it says 5,500, that, I'm sure that came from
Was it?
Mike, nobody else.
Yeah, it's,
All right, so. All right.
and hopefully, if we get somebody at the high end of the range, they'll already have it, so.
Yeah, because if we get somebody at the lower end of the range, then.
The salary number will be
Yeah,
lower.
Yeah, have some there, but I don't know how to balance that equation here. This
Nope.
point. Okay, next up, insurance. We had estimated a single person for the insurance. Maybe we leave
I
that,
think we should.
maybe we leave that and we can't,
Because you don't know.
we don't know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Leave it as is, okay, as is. All right, anything else on the, but the other thing I have on the highway side is excavator costs.
So,
for-
well, actually, a couple things. So we have, let's go through. What was this? Why is that there? That is fence. 6-1. Oh, this goes back to all the building reserve funds. So when we get, all right, so that, you don't have to worry about sand. Rocks.
Oh, she's looking, okay. Oh, excavator,
Yeah, the excavator, well, and the loader, so. Tracking. So, sorry, it's gonna be up here. Before we get there, let's go to, we have the equipment schedule. This will end up in the book, right? So we have, this is the new excavator. Sorry, this is the old excavator. This is the new excavator, which we're still in conversation on financing. I don't know when we're gonna get it, but I suspect we will get it relatively soon, once we sort out the financing, which I understand, is that must be the loader financing there for signature, I assume.
Is it loader or John Deere? Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay. So for the new John Deere, that's this right here.
Right, we don't need to worry about that one. I think we got that in there last time, right?
Yep. And then for financing for the new loader, does that schedule give us principal and interest? Because that's how the budget works. I have it in as a flat 30 grand.
I think that's because we hadn't finalized it.
Right, but
and-
she should have principal and interest.
That's, well, first of all, that's not the right piece of equipment.
Oh,
So,
no, I'm looking at the loader right now. That's 3106.
right, is
Yeah.
that,
It's the loader, it is. Yep, that's the loader. So I just want to do a quick lease payment is 33, and why is it 33?
interest
Could be
and it's in the rears?
well, that's what it should have been. But it also has, it may have the warranty in there,
Right.
but that seems like a lot. So those numbers are new to me. Hold on, I'm sorry, guys. Because we're definitely gonna wanna put that 33 in, it should have been 30. We'll just make sure that they've got the, well, that's what I thought, but this, it says 33, so I just wanna make sure. That the selling price was 194. Then we had should have been the 40,000. This may not, I'm not gonna, I don't think we should sign this. This does not include the trade-in. That's why.
Oh.
That's gotta be why, right? Because it says, whoops, it says 194. So we just, it should have been a $40,000 trade-in, so it's 194, 200. It should have been, yeah, it should have been, it doesn't include the trade-in.
Because we're doing the option one, excuse me, municipal lease, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That should be 6.6%.
Yep.
We had the 5-year warranty cost. Now, that 5-year warranty cost should be included. But that $4,000 wouldn't make the difference. But I'm looking at here and it says the selling price. It says the asset payment, and so the financing price should include the trade-in, which this doesn't appear to. It's possible Patty had a conversation that I don't know about, but I'll have to call.
Yeah,
Should
because
be
here it says
152.
purchase price after $40,000 trade-in.
Yeah. Okay. All right, anyway,
Leave it as a,
let's leave it as the 30 for now, because that's what it should be. It may go up a tiny bit to amortize out the $4,000 for the warranty, but okay. All right, so when we go back here, that 30,106 is right there.
all right, so we don't have anything in there. Oh, wait.
So the
that's-
excavator's here.
All right, so what does that say?
So sorry, let me get over here. so you can see it. So this is using the 7-year financing with the warranty and the 6.24%. That number, we don't know we can get because we don't know if we have the audited financials to get it. I have not seen the numbers for the bank. I have no idea what the bank numbers are. Patty's got those.
Because as of last meeting, we didn't have that information.
Right. And I just spoke to, the guy we have been working with is in the hospital for a few weeks, so I spoke to the branch manager. He was trying to get me the information, maybe I'll have it tomorrow, but anyway, we don't have it for right now. I think this is a fine estimate, the bank will be in the neighborhood.
There was enough of a differential on the other one that I am worried that it will be too low.
It might be,
So,
Thought our number was higher that we had estimated.
on the
so,
loader.
so,
Yeah.
like,
Wasn't?
like originally, we thought that the cost of the excavator was gonna be higher than what we had, but as an interim step, I had used bank interest rates that were similar to what they gave us as for the truck warranty, and then the ones that they came back with the last time were quite a bit higher than that.
Yeah.
75% interest was much higher. So, we've got it.
Well, the M&T, so we had, for John Deere, M&T came back with 7.89 versus 6.6. And this is on the annual lease.
Yeah, so
It was way higher for monthly, it was 8.2% for monthly.
anyway, fingers crossed we can get it for 41. If it's low, it's low. I guess we'll fix it next year, right?
Mhm.
Top of your
And this is it,
thing.
and this is just the estimate.
But it's what's gonna be put into the town warning, which has to be done tonight ideally, but at least by Sunday at the absolute latest. Okay, all right, so, the one other thing that I had as a budget item to circle back to was EMD expenses, but I would suggest if there's anything else on the highway, let's.
So we'll just sort of flip through here. I've got random yellow things that I think we just need to update with Patty. She did tell me this is the column, this reimbursed fiscal 25, this column right there. This is the GMP.
Yeah.
So what Patty told us last week, and I haven't gotten up here, but the numbers for the spent, I'll double check, but she says we received those.
It was paid in full, she said,
Yeah,
right?
that's all done, yeah.
So I can, right now, this has some like over, pending invoice, but I'll clean that up.
All right, so if we've got all the yellow done for proposal for 2026, we can switch over to the select board budget again. The one other thing I wanted to take a look at was EMD expenses.
Oh, wait, yeah, let me just do this real quick, cause I changed it. Right here, she says add it, she wanted me to add a new account for $40 payment. And I told her that I thought it was counterproductive to have another account that we were gonna have to move into Nemrick for $40. So hydro seeding ended up going, I ended up combining. Just so everybody knows, just because everything they saw before, where's the hydro seeding? I combined chloride, here, this. Miscellaneous repairs and erosion control. This $4,000 there, just in spent, had the $40 plus, this other tiny thing. So now that's what we spent last time, and the budget for hydro seeding for whatever reason is 2,000. It didn't change much, but that's the erosion control.
Okay.
So that's why I'm gonna delete that. I didn't wanna just do it without talking to you guys. And this erosion, this number also moved down into this account. That 5846. Cause there it's like 3965 plus 5846 plus 40. Anyway, they're all there. So that's all in one erosion control line. Let's just clean up. And I did update the equipment schedule. I think that's it for that. The only other thing, and as we may come back to this if we need it, is we're gonna have to talk about the reserve funds. I added, because we didn't have it last time, the audit reserve. We're gonna have a separate conversation around that, so we may not need this for the book if we're not gonna have an audit reserve. The other thing that I did that we may need to think about is I took a stab at the raise it appropriate, and I'm sure you've got your number, Edie, but
No,
we
I
can,
don't have my number on.
Okay. Okay,
That's what I need to, that's what we need to do.
all right, so whenever we wanna get through that, we don't need to do
It's
that now.
next, it's next.
Okay,
But I do want to go back to the EMD expenses on the highway, on
Okay.
the select board side, as one other piece that I was like, well, maybe we can, in this case, trim a little bit on that one.
Okay.
All right, EMD expense, not the compensation line.
oh, okay, what's an expense? Compensation. Yep, that might be it, the 5580. Let me just go over here and look.
Yeah, okay,
Emergency supplies, yep,
okay,
that 5580.
so, so I talked to Paul, who is the EMD, and I asked him if he had a budget for the EMD stuff. And I told him we had 4,500 in there, but we didn't know what for. And he said something to the effect of, oh, I was gonna buy a radio. Do I need to talk to Mike about that, so that he could be in communication? And, but it sounded like his expectation was that would be a cost this fiscal year.
Oh, and 25.
And yeah, and I mean,
Yeah.
again, that was the only little bit of conversation we had about it. And I hate leaving $4,500 if we don't know how it's gonna be spent.
And didn't we bought radios? Like, so that they could communicate.
I don't know, can you look at some of the history, cause I'm
Oh,
looking
sure.
at it now and going, why were we
All right,
25?
let me make this yellow again so we can find it when I go back. There,
So
so this is gonna be spent in 24. This is 24, spent 24, spent 25.
okay, spent 25. Had.
These are big
grants.
numbers.
They had the grants, it had that brick grants. That was
Yeah,
to get the,
yeah, it was like
Like
this.
yeah, was that the one that we
We received 6,971.68. So we have to make sure that was in September 20th, 24. We have to make sure that gets down and is added back so that we don't over budget on our raise and appropriate. So let's look.
So I basically think that, we were expecting that we had a grant. I think the grant was to update the local hazard mitigation plan. I'm not sure.
Well, that's the only non-highway one on here.
What's number 3?
That's hazard mitigation. Submitted for payment.
Okay, so that was an actual project and the brick was,
Those numbers are
Coming
the
up.
same.
Yeah, they are, same number.
No,
Oh, they
that's
are?
76.
Huh?
That's 10,000. Brick is 10.
No, right there,
Yeah, but-
69,
Oh,
71.
6971.
And then
It's
up in the green above.
Oh, it is, isn't it?
okay,
Good eyes.
okay.
Got good eyes, Randy.
All right, so that's where
that's-
that grant was basically money. We had a grant that we would update our local hazard mitigation plan. Wyndham Regional did the work and got the money for it.
Mhm.
So it sounds like that's all zeroed out. So this 4,500, if we don't have anything in last fiscal year for radios, I'm still not confident that $4,500 for a radio is, like, we have no budget we have no budget.
You can't spend money if you don't have a budget, right? So,
I'm kind of inclined to like reduce that pretty dramatically. I mean, if we have an emergency, I'm gonna be kicking myself and, we should have radios. We should be able to do stuff, but
You thought they had some, right?
well, I know we got, I mean,
we get some for the highway and like,
we did. Because the repeater or something was messed up in the garage. We all went down there with Tristan and Pete and everybody went,
all right,
but I don't know what kind of radio.
Yeah, why don't we
it-
cut it back to two? Cut it back to $2,000. I just, it's, we don't know what, shouldn't put money in here if we don't know what it's for, and he doesn't sound like he's able to tell you.
okay. Do you want it $2,000 total? We've got the $1,000 of DV fiber, 1,080. Do you want it $2,000 total, Kristen?
It gives us some wiggle room on a radio, whatever radio. is.
Yeah.
Maybe the fire department
What do you
did.
think?
Good one.
I think, yeah, I mean, I think let's put it at
I
2,000.
like to.
Yeah. me
Two.
too.
Done.
All right, we have a number.
All right, thanks,
Any-
Tristan.
Do you have anything else that is yellow?
Yeah, we're just gonna have to go back and look at some of these bridges,
Yeah,
but
I'm talking only right now about the column that is,
Yeah.
and
we'll go TBD. Okay. Nope, that's select board looks blue. Let's go to highway. Highway looks all blue. So there we have it. Save. So we can go to raise and appropriate if you want.
Yep.
So, saving. Not that this is a lot, right? Taking too long to save. What are you worried about? Hmm. Everybody got internet okay?
yes. Yes.
Yeah, I don't wanna. Oh, did it save? All right, what time is it? 7:39. Hold on, I just wanna make sure it's saved to the. $7:39. Okay, it's saved. Raise and appropriate.
Okay. Almost. This is for the next piece of the meeting. Okay, so raise and appropriate. Better be sitting down.
Yeah. Deep breath.
Now this, you have the. The numbers here on the top. These go to. Link directly back to all the work we've done. So this, and if you look at. These numbers here. And if you've got your. Last year's book handy. Raise and appropriate for last year. Was page 15. So looking at the comparison, and it's hard to, let's see if I can maybe make this a little bit smaller. See,
Oh, you want this one over here? Or you got it? She's got it.
Well, I don't know if that's legible. Is that even legible? That's not legible.
Where? Up there?
Yeah, let's go back.
Yeah, I can't.
Nope, let's go back. Okay. So what's the easiest way? How do you want me to go through this, Edie?
So.
Cause I can show the linkages where each one of these numbers is coming from. And
um,
then down this blue or this green bit basically just takes the numbers that are above that we've pulled from our various budget tabs. And those are the raise and appropriate that should go into the text of the article. And then down here is our prior meeting. Those are the numbers that we looked at last year,
Okay,
right? It had our fund deficit. Income against expenses, so that's what we worked with last year.
Yep.
This part, I think I pretty much erased because we don't have these articles for 25, but I didn't want to erase it until we decided we needed to.
Okay.
So for now, this is, and this raise and appropriate last year, I just stuck it over here so we could see where the big differences were. And the big differences are, in this case, it includes 182,000 for bridges, which is Select Board row 36. We're doing this a little bit different this year than we did last year by having some of these grant numbers. I think this is the right way to, guess it's the right way to do it. So we have the grant number up in the front, and then we should have the income against expenses over here. Okay, so we've got 182 there, and then here we have 163.8, which is the Hatch grant. So let me just show you, because last year that number was 382. This year this is the Select Board budget, which the reason it looks high relative to last year. So if we go, that number is Select Board row 107. Oops. This number here. And the reason that number 600 is so high is we have this number here, the 182.
And then with that number.
Okay, that 182, so that the bridge work, we currently have 60 in the bridge fund, the balance left over goes into the reserve. That number 182, so people follow, comes over here to the grant tab. What did I say? Wait a minute, oops, it was M42 over here. This number right here, M42. So that's the Hatch School culvert.
Yeah.
That's the total expenditure. Then we're gonna get back the 163, right? We don't get 100% back. We have to fund some of it.
Right.
And so that's what we're showing over here. That includes the 182, and that includes the 163, income against expense. This minus this, that's how much we have to raise and appropriate the 400. We're being more precise about how we're accounting for
It
grants.
seems a little easier to follow.
yeah, it does, yeah.
Fewer surprises, right?
So we're going from,
But it's gonna be something, again, part of the informational meeting, how did that, you know,
Yeah.
why is it like that? Why is there such a big difference, right? It looks like the Select Board
well, no,
went
without,
cuckoo.
Yeah.
But the income against expense is 200 versus 50 last year. You see this little Y?
Yeah.
If I change it to no, that's what our income against expense. That way, so we don't have to go all the way back and look at the Select Board. So without the grant stuff, it's 50 versus 57, right? So it's a consistent number. I think we're doing it the right way, but I have that little toggle in there just so it's obvious what's going on.
So for my purposes, I'm comparing to the actual written warning, which we're
Yes.
gonna be doing next. And the reason that I'm looking at this is because the numbers are actually not so very different than last year. The overall approved highway and select board expenditures is up by about $60,000.
So this number here, 2492 versus 2432, yep.
Yep, and then the amount that we have from
But I think it's luck
grants, I know,
because of that 180.
well, I mean, again.
Well, it is because we've got the 182,000 for the structure grant that we didn't have last year.
Yeah,
And we had this 180 deficit. That's why.
okay, and then, what I wanted to see next is, so, yeah, so the numbers were close enough that I was like, wait a second, did anything change, right? I wanted to
Mhm.
just kind of see that.
Mhm.
Can you go back to the, highway, or to the select board tab? And
Mhm.
what I want to do is just kind of get that, like, bottom line, what is the differential from last year?
This 616 is now. And we were 382,558.
Actually, I want the bottom line, I want the
Oh,
differential.
the 1860, that one,
Yeah, I want.
that one versus that one.
And
Just
can
to
you-
show everybody, K is budget 25.
So. Keep going down.
This number, we have to go to surplus deficit. That's what's driving that difference.
Right, I think I need, I think I need the leftmost column.
Yep.
See that? I need some words.
let's-
There's too many numbers. on
Yeah,
that.
let me get rid of that. Yeah, let me get rid of that. Is that better?
All right, so, yeah, so what I'm thinking is, this is what, so raise and appropriate, select board overall is up 21%, raise and appropriate for the highway is up 13.6%. But the total 119 doesn't have anything in it.
So the reason it doesn't is that that comes from. This was Article 3, page 4. What was the number? Right? This is the same thing. What is the article? This one, this 100,000 was the gravel that was added. This 218,500. That was, remember we had that error. Right? And we fixed it. So that's Article 3, page 2432. That's Article 3, page 4 in last year's book. The 218,500. We go to raise and appropriate. Hold on, I gotta go way over here. Raise and appropriate. Where's raise and appropriate?
So the
Surplus deficit. No. No. Surplus deficit detail.
I'm such a creature of habit from years of looking at this, and where I always kind of go to is this. This amount and having a percentage here is what I was looking for.
And we need to check that number. But this this is the detail for the surplus deficit?
So I'm still trying to get, like, what I'm looking for here is, on the previous one that you sent to, actually, the one that you sent to us for today's meeting. On row 118 for select board and highway expenses.
Which,
Raise and appropriate select board and highway expenses. That number,
are we looking at the select board tab?
yeah.
Row 118, okay, here
Yeah.
it is, yep.
So this is where I go to say, okay, how different was it from
Mhm.
last year?
Mhm.
And, that number of 1851375 is quite a bit smaller than what we had before we started the meeting tonight. Which was 2.067 million. And it was up 5.08%. And just kind of going through my head, what
Huh.
did we do tonight was we added a bunch of stuff in. And it went down instead of going up.
So what do we got here? These surplus deficits, so what's probably happening is if we go to
So I'd love to say that there was a
76,
16.36
Oh my God, that'd be
decrease,
great.
but I figure it's probably closer to like.
we go to
Yeah.
D. Oops, wait a minute. Where that was supposed to be. Surplus deficit 24. I wonder if that should be pulling. 76. 60, 70. Surplus deficit D76 is that number. I thought it was a minus 15. Do you have the printout for the PDF for the surplus
This
deficit
is actually the last one
before?
for today.
Yeah, that's correct.
One of those are double sided.
Yeah, that's okay. I think it's, huh. So this is where it changed, it's right to there, minus extraordinary amount. Included in raise and appropriate. That's pulling the wrong. It's pulling the wrong number. That number should be extraordinary amount. That goes to surplus deficit print. And that says it's E31, which is E. That's not the right, it should be this number. Hold on, I think this number should be equals minus. Let's walk through this number. Which means we come back here. What will it raise and appropriate? Let's go back here. Is that the number that we started with?
Much.
It was 2067344. I wonder if we're getting a weird loop. 179. Now goes back to this surplus deficit.
That number
179.
should be 41 sometimes.
So we have, this is the number from operations included in. Well, these are the numbers we have to check.
Yeah, we don't want that school tax rebate in there, we decided.
So that number. Rebate arrived in fiscal 25 in the amount of 26. Well, we did have a conversation, because I originally wanted it out, and then we had a conversation that it should be in.
Oh, yeah, conversation, I should be out. Everybody agreed we shouldn't put
Okay,
that in there, and the amount we had in the end was
okay,
last time that, and in the other spreadsheet was 41,608.
there it is, okay. Now it's 41,608.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, yeah, maybe I messed up today. And then this 153,526 is just the sum of 30 and 31, which is, yes, so it's just that number, just
Yeah.
included in raised and appropriate.
Okay.
So if I go back, sorry about having to be iterative this way. This number was 41,608. Is that the number we think it should be?
Yes,
Equal,
What's the number? I can't see the cursor there.
no, I'm sorry.
Sorry. 153,526.
All right, so so this number, what you think is, should be equals minus. That number? Or minus the
no,
41,
it's be minus 40.
that number.
It's about deficit in there. That's much closer to what I was expecting, yes.
And so what was the number before we
So
tinkered
when,
on,
when,
what are
when we,
you
s-
showing?
so
Randy?
when we
Which one
started,
Was it the raised and appropriate?
No, the select board expenses,
so select board expenses on the worksheet before we came in this evening was 2,067. 2,067,334.
so that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
That
And
makes,
so we've added about $30,000 between software and taking a little bit out on EMD and adding in for some staffing, right? Does that seems a lot closer. I'm much happier to see that kind of. It's pretty good.
okay,
Yeah.
We did our best. Yeah, it's not, I think that's what it's gonna be, right?
so yeah, 30,231, so that makes sense, because we added. We added 20,500. And yeah, and we added 7,000 something here. But we had 2,000, so yeah, that's the difference.
Okay,
7,180 minus, so there's 2,000, and that was originally a 9,000 number, so
all right.
that makes sense. I'm good with that.
Are we ready to switch over to finalizing and signing the warning for town meeting deadline?
So let's, so
With those
you,
numbers.
so this number,
I
so,
need to add those numbers in my
so,
document.
all right, oh, see, I yellowed that because I wasn't sure I had the right number. Thank you. I did not. I had a junk number.
That was the right one.
Okay,
All right, so the raised and appropriate amount is the highway and select board expenditures are 2,000,000. Is this 518?
518875.
751. 2,575, of which 2,097,575 shall be raised by taxes and oops. Four, two, one, three. By non-tax revenues. Okay,
Now, does that make sense? Because the difference between this amount raised by taxes and last year's 1967 is this 132.57. we're higher than last year by 130 grand. Does that make sense? If we're down 5%,
We're up 5%.
up 5%.
5 point something percent.
No, this is 5% lower than last year.
Okay, now that's confusing how I mean, let me see what this said, because I was.
So
just
we had
looking at the number.
2213519 last year. It was last
But
year.
my worksheet, it is clearly a positive number of 5.08% increase. So is there just a minus when there should be a positive?
2213 to 2097 is a negative direction.
Okay, yeah, well, that could be the problem. Column. I have column L as a. Oh, that's the spent year to date. Okay, let me look at the budget column. Which was K. All right, let me close this just to. That's enough confusion, right? So budget 2025.
Yeah, this is the number that's worrying me.
Budget 2025, K. So I have budget 2025 K as having 1,967,319. So I don't know.
That
What's-
number,
what's-
well, because this number,
Budget deficit is crazy. That budget deficit,
this number,
the 40, no, not ours, not this year, but we didn't have a $426,000 budget deficit last year.
that looks at 20 surplus deficit
That's pointing to the wrong-
23
Pointed to the wrong cell.
could be. So that one, hold on, so that's detail D72, hold on, 23 D72. 23 detail
Should be $180,000.
was this number here. This is for the 23.
180,797 is the deficit.
What's going on? That was 23 detail. Surplus. All right, hold on, let me stop sharing for a moment.
Remove something from today that we changed.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can pull up an older version and see what we have. Put 25. Gonna pull up our final from last year, which was March 2024. Okay, so I'm just gonna, I may have to go through and may have to
So
look at this, so I'm gonna share, so this is last year. It was last year, that's the 18797,
yeah,
that was last year. So this number for town operations is 3194. Now I'm gonna come over here. Oops, let me put it in. Oops. Here. I'm gonna go back to last year, see what the last year number was, surplus deficit. So it should be 3,194,247. 3,194, this is 3,221,518. 3,221,518, surplus deficit minus 27. Minus 27, budget shortfall 218,5. Budget shortfall. That's why that number, that's wrong. That should be raised and appropriate from the prior year, F32. So it's linking the wrong number, so this should equal minus. It's supposed to be raising. I wonder if I just overwrote something. I'll just plug it in a second. So last year's budget shortfall was minus 218,500. Oops. Equals minus 218,500. All right. So that's the old one. I'm just gonna go with that. Now, when we come back here. So it doesn't get myself lost here. Let's go back to this. All right, there's the 187,997. Thank you, Edie.
Now we have a 6.62% increase instead of a 5% decrease. It is what it is, I guess, right? Okay.
But that makes sense given what we,
Yeah, that was what wasn't,
From this minute.
the number without it being negative was, I was like, oh, that's not
Yeah.
too bad, but yeah.
okay, so sorry for that little detour. So let's go back to raise and appropriate. So now, 196, those are the same numbers. These are the numbers from last year. Okay, that makes, all right, so now. Is that where we need to be? Yeah, I think we were happy with that, and what wasn't conformed was the select board tab. Was goofy. Sorry. What was the goofy tab?
I can get a stiff neck looking at that ring. I do, and I don't even do it.
I do.
All right,
Oh,
got there. All right, I'm gonna start sharing. We're getting this.
So I can stop sharing?
You can. Have to give myself permission, but let's.
Hold on, let me save before we get lost here. Stop sharing. There we
Okay,
oh,
so let's make this something that we old folks read. All right. So we have the Town of Halifax, Vermont annual meeting warning from March 4th, 2025. Somebody check the calendar. Is that the right date?
should be. Is that?
Sounds right.
Sounds right, but we're gonna check the date because this is the official warning.
Oh, yeah.
We've got it in there several times.
Or, yep.
Okay. Okay, the legal voters of the town of Halifax, Vermont are hereby warned and notified to meet in Halifax Elementary School multipurpose room, 246 Branch Road, in said town on Tuesday, March 4th, 2025 at 10 a.m. to transact the following business from the floor. Article 1, to hear the reports of town officers. Article 2, shall the town collect taxes from the town and the Halifax School District as follows. Taxes will be due on or before September 30th, 2025, payable to the town treasurer by delivery to town hall postmarked on or before that date. Taxes will become delinquent after September 30th, 2025, and payable with penalties and interest to the collector of delinquent taxes. Now, I have a comment in here to cross-check that date with Patty. It is not a weekend, correct?
Which date?
September 30th.
September 30th. I would love to have Patty's eyes on this, but I think we're gonna sign it even without that, and if she screwed it up. we'll-
She said she's available by phone.
Oh,
Brad,
okay,
Brad was feeling unwell,
September
so
30th is a Tuesday.
is it Tuesday? Okay, does somebody wanna just text her and just say confirming that Tuesday taxes due on September 30th, 2025, and Tuesday is accurate? Okay. Article 3, shall the town approve select board and highway expenditures of, let's
wait,
double check these numbers.
let's get Patty first, one second. I'm gonna let you ask the question.
Hello. Hello, this is Edie calling, and actually you're on a recorded line because we're here on our meeting. I just wanted to validate that we're gonna have taxes collected on September 30th, 2025, which is a Tuesday. And to cross-check that with Patty. Are you good with that?
Yes, I'm good with that.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that's all we need you for right now.
Okay,
Um,
I will keep my phone
oh, okay.
live.
Great, and when, we're hoping to get to a point we can actually sign this tonight, but I would love to have you take a close read of it, and then you can call us and I can embarrassedly set up a special meeting if we've messed anything up terribly, but I think we're good.
When did you want me to read it? Would it be tonight or can I read it tomorrow?
Oh, I think you can read it tomorrow. If we can get signatures on it tonight, that would be the best. But if there's something wrong with it, you need to let us know because we wouldn't have posted it yet and we come back in and correct anything.
Sure,
But
no problem.
we're shooting for perfection on this one.
I love it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Have
Thanks,
a good
Patty.
evening.
Thank you.
Thanks, Patty.
Thanks for being
We're
available.
saving you all the hard questions.
All right, talk to you later.
Let's see, I might have to shrink this a little bit to get this stupid comment out of the way. It's done. Check. Let's just delete it. Delete. Hang on. Okay. Alrighty, the next one, shall the town approve select board and highway expenditures of $2,518,887? Correct?
2,518,875.
Okay. All right, of which I'm gonna.
And hold on, 2,518,875, and I'm gonna go back here. See now, this is not what it says here.
Okay, maybe did I write that in before?
No,
No. Wrote it in when we were.
You did
So raise
say
and
it
appropriate.
may have changed after the.
so
final.
the 616 is select board N107. Select board N107 is 616,969. Then highway is 1,860,298. $1,860,298. That adds up. Just make sure I have that arithmetic working. Total highway and select board, 2,477,267. Then got a deficit that we have to add of 41,608. Which shows up here. So that should be 13, what the heck, this should be 13, 16, 17. Raise and appropriate select board. 402, wait a minute. Wait a minute, hold on, this seems odd. This is 13, 16, and 17, raise and select board, 13. So what's going on with this one? Hold on, this is 107 minus 112. That's what the difference is. So we're showing, let's go back here, raise and appropriate. 616, and it was 382. But this arithmetic down here is adding this number. It's built in the 214. So that should still be okay. So hold on, the 214, 500. So we should have here 402 for raise and appropriate. Hold on, 402, 469. And that's 402, 469. Highway 2097. 2097, 575. Okay. Okay, I think that is correct. Yeah, I think that is correct. Okay, so if we go back, no. Patty to, Edie to, let's go back, read, if you could read that again.
So we are looking to have expenditures of $2,518,875.
Okay, hold on 1 second. So the 2 million, so that particular number, if I share my screen, doesn't show up because of the sequence, the rows where it happens.
Okay,
Okay, so this, this 2 million is the 600 plus the 1.8. And then it's minus this. So that 218 doesn't show up, but they're all there.
keep in mind that this number should be the sum of the other two, right? And that's where we got confused.
Last time.
Not us, but the previous board got confused and they didn't add these last two numbers.
1860298 and 616969. It's 2477267. So that's what we need to get back to. We need to get back to 215, which is this number, which is before the income against expenses. And we raise and appropriate the 2,097,000. So the,
Okay, so let me.
you want me to share my,
Nope, I want you to look at my screen.
Okay.
All we need to do here is make sure that this number, which is the amount that shall be raised by taxes, and this number, which is the amount that's non-tax revenues, if those two numbers are correct there, then we add those two together and we get the 25,18,875.
okay, so 2097 is there, 2097,575. And what's the raising the income against expenses? 214,500. See, I don't get it. It's not coming up here. It should be, oh, plus the 206, that's why. So that's correct. Okay, so this 402 income highway, so hold on. Back to the drawing board here. 2097575 plus income against expenses of 214,500 for the select board, and 206,800 for highway. 209,775 plus. I'm getting a different number. You read that one? That was two.
Oh, she got threatened.
2097,575.
Her
Well-
numbers are usually that one, but
Yeah, 2097, hold on, my problem is my brain is just completely fogged up.
I can understand.
Ugh. All right, so, what I'm looking for is 421,300. Which should be. That's what's weird. That's what's weird. Let me just share this for 1 second, because I do apologize.
Let me,
The last week has been. a
Yep.
little-
understood, I'm gonna stop
Been
sharing.
beating me up here, hold on. Let's see, Dean. I'm gonna share.
We're patient.
Trying to stop sharing. Oh, it's up on the top. That's fine.
I'll do that,
Alright,
share. Go back. Go back, make sure I'm looking at the right year. This is the right year, so Edie, there's the 2097,
okay,
okay? Then when I look at the raise and appropriate, because these are the numbers, I'm trying to get to that number, the
Yeah.
215.
Yep.
So that 215 is this number. Right? That's that number.
okay,
The 2097 is that number. The missing number is that number. So when I come over here, and that's just income against expenses.
Right.
So I've got the 2097,575. Then we add in income against expenses for the select board of 214.
Yep,
500,
so-
right? And we
Yeah.
add 206.
Yep.
800. That gets us to 215. Right, so that equals this plus this plus this.
So the number that we need to give the voters is the 421,300. So we need the combination of the two incomes, right? So on our warning, what we want to tell them is, we're gonna spend $2.5 million, but 420,000 of that is gonna be grant funded. And we are gonna be on the hook for roughly 2,100,000, right? So the numbers add up.
All right, do you want me to
This-
stop
this
sharing now that?
Yeah,
Good.
yeah, and I did, again, the words, if we're looking at the word problem that we had, and that was what made life difficult for us last year, because the previous year had been confused, was, share this first. So really, my simple way of looking at it was to just cut and paste these numbers that we had of the amount that we were getting as income, the amount that we were raising as taxes, and then the total amount here. So that was my, I don't have, without linking to all the spreadsheets, I just wanted to make sure that
Mhm.
math worked
Yep.
properly. And
Thank
we
you.
added instead of subtracted those numbers from each other. And then we are going to go back to our Word document and share that,
And
which is the warning, which is what
and what article number is that?
this year it will be. Let's see, I think so. Yeah, it's the third article again this year.
Article 3.
Okay, so we've got that number correct. We're gonna take out last year's figure. We've got this number correct. We're gonna take out last year's number. We broke 2 million on taxes this year, not something to be proud of, but something to know, I guess. And we have roughly the same amount of grant money. I think we've been getting a lot more grant money lately, which is nice, right? So that's the structures grant. That's the state transportation money that they give us that probably comes from the federal government in the end. Or possibly from the gas taxes as well. Anyway, that's Article 3. Article 4, shall the town set the treasurer's budget for salary and collection of current taxes at $20,000 plus 4,000 for expenses for FY26. We've got the right fiscal year in here too, right? We're checking, kind of read it backwards if we have to. we had two articles that were proposed by voters on petition. Article 5, to see if the voters will approve the sum of $6,000 to continue support of the Whitingham Free Public Library in recognition of services, materials, and programs provided to the residents of Halifax. I added the in accordance with. We had that on the one last year. It's just the reference to the law by which voters in town can choose to give money to different organizations. Does everybody think that's okay? That normally, when we get petitions, we have to make sure that they are legal petitions. So these are both legal petitions, not any different from other type of thing that we have. And then I think we're supposed to keep it, the wording, like as close to what is signed here as possible. So these articles are even worded a little bit different from each other, even though they're both doing the same thing, asking the town for money. But I think it's okay for us to just add that last little bit on there.
And just sort of an auditing question.
Yeah.
How do we determine that those are legal ballots? Does Patty look at them and say, okay, just assuming that these are all, does somebody go through and say, yes, these people actually live here?
Patty
Perfect.
checks everybody. She checks the
Perfect.
number of voters that assigned.
Perfect, okay,
So, yep, so she passed that on to us, that
Great.
those are there.
okay.
The other one is, and just as a note for us, last year, we gave $5,000 to the Whitingham Free Public Library, so it's up by 1,000. Article 6 is a new article. We have never given anything to Southeast Vermont Transit / the mover. This is how they worded their article. Shall the town of Halifax vote to raise, appropriate, and expend the sum of $500 for the support of Southeast Vermont Transit / the mover to provide transportation services to the residents of town? This. The other thing about these articles is they're supposed to be worded neutrally. It
yeah.
can't be like for the wonderful people at whatever organization, right? It
Right.
has to be sort of neutral, and I think that, but it has to describe what this appropriation is for, what the organization does. All right, next up,
Oh,
we're gonna have
should
Article
town,
7.
should town be capitalized there in accordance with in Article 6?
I suppose we could do that.
Capital T is a defined term.
Yeah, I guess. We'll give them some capitalization help too, as well as putting the citation there. In one of the petitions, the citation was on the top of the form. It didn't seem to be on the other one. All right, we had to update that one to Article 7 because we added one more in here. All right, Article 7 is shall the town vote to exempt the Halifax community clubs on property taxation for the ensuing 5 years pursuant to the 32 VSA 3840. That one is every 5 years. If you're a non-tax organization like the Firehouse, Trust for Public Land or whatever that one is, and the community club.
And there was something for veterans as well. I think there was another exemption in the tax.
That one,
the
I don't think
tax rate.
I don't think we vote on that each year, though.
Oh,
This is-
okay.
This is like, is this building still being used for a purpose where we're all willing to chip in and help pay their taxes? So
Yes.
that's the gist of this article.
Yeah, the Halifax Community Club, the Trust for Wildlife, that's what in the prior years.
Yes.
And then there's this other veterans one that I think is part of the homestead rate.
Yeah, that's
That's embedded in the homestead rate. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, it's a broader law
Okay.
but connected
Yep.
to the
Okay.
tax rate setting, sure.
Okay.
And then Article 8, shall the town appropriate a total of, and we need to do this math. To the following social services agencies in according again with 24 VSA 2691. So these other ones that are here did not change, but we got to make sure we got the Whitingham Free Public Library out of this one. Yeah, we got to delete this line because they're up above. And then we got to look at what else we have here.
Do all these, write letters to the town? Do
Once they put in a petition,
It's
the
good forever?
practice of our board, and we probably should make this a policy, is once they put in a petition, we continue them at the same level, and if they want more money, they do this, they go out and get signatures. But we probably should formalize our strategy there. All right, let me talk through these that are here. American Red Cross, which is emergency and disaster assistance, 250, Brattleboro Area Hospice, 200 for death and grief support, 500 for Deerfield Valley Community Partnership, which is substance abuse prevention, 500 to Deerfield Valley Food Pantry for hunger and food insecurity relief, 500 to the Gathering Place Adult Day Program for elders and adults with disabilities programming, $50 to Green Up Vermont for roadside trash cleanup, $750 to Healthcare and Rehabilitation Services, HCRS, which is mental health services. 200 to Interaction, which was formerly Youth Services and would have been on the bottom of the schedule last year. Maybe you can like cross-check us here too, if you wouldn't mind. Then we have Senior Solutions 550, which is the Council on Aging for Southern Vermont, which is services for seniors. 790 for SEVCA, Southeastern Vermont Community Action, which is anti-poverty programs and services. SVEDS, Southern Vermont Economic Development Strategies, $2,184 for workforce and economic coordination services. 1,900 for the Visiting Nurse Association and Hospice of Vermont and New Hampshire, Inc. Hospice and Home Health. 3,000 for Whitingham Firemen's Association for emergency medical services. 500 for WinDart, emergency animal sheltering, and 3,000 for Wings Community Programs. That was one that was last year in an article and got shifted down into here. And then 700 for the Women's Freedom Center, which is domestic violence survivor support. Does anybody see any problems with this?
Should we back up further to the beginning of the list?
Now I'm gonna get my calculator out.
When I talked to that guy on hospice and the visiting nurse, they
Yeah.
don't do they just do for babies and mothers. They don't do for like. Oh, like we don't. Yeah,
So that's one that the town can discuss on the floor. Again, as select board members, we have to be neutral, but we are noting that they used to provide service in this town.
Oh, I know
but
they did.
then they didn't, then they said they ran out of staff and and post-COVID, they stopped providing for us and for other towns. They have asked for the same amount of money. People from the floor can discuss that. But
And they sent in a report and a request. We have all that.
they sent in a report and request,
Yeah,
and
I
it,
talked
you
to
know,
the
like,
guy.
Oh, you did?
yeah.
yeah. And if people will look at their previous year's report, maybe they will see the number of people they served previously. And if they would look at the year before that, they would see the number of people that they served.
I was just saying, they don't do adults,
Yeah, yeah,
just
they,
children, babies,
yeah,
mothers and babies.
in our area, in
Right,
our
but they
area.
used to- they did.
Yeah.
It was cool. It's a good service.
Mm,
But they just can't get the staff.
Okay, so I would like to make sure that other people are also totaling up these numbers and coming.
Yeah,
up
I'm
with
sorry, and I
them.
didn't because I was looking for something because I thought I had it in my,
That's exactly what I came up with, Nancy, thank you.
and you renamed Youth Services Interaction.
Yes, and I alphabetized them under interaction and I put formerly youth services. Okay. All right, we are in final agreement there. We are not going to talk about the 1% tax on rooms, correct?
Correct. We said that last time.
And then I'm gonna do we think we should do a page break? How has it been done in the past to do the Australian ballot piece? I switched it last year and Patty was concerned about that, but that was what the LCT had as its model, so. All right, so next.
There was a page, last year there was a page break.
So next page is the articles by Australian ballot, so let me see if I can put in a page break, that will be,
Hit save at some point.
mine auto saves.
Okay.
That's the only beauty of putting all my stuff in the cloud.
Mine auto saves too, but
What?
mine auto saves too, but every now and again,
Yeah.
you get a glitch in the matrix and it
Yeah.
doesn't save.
It's just habits.
Yeah, me too. I save it like every 15 keystrokes.
Okay, insert page break chat. Okay, then the next page says the following articles will be voted. Was there any header on that? No.
No,
Following articles will be voted by Australian ballot. Article 1, to elect by Australian ballot all town officers required by law to be elected at the annual town meeting and to fill all vacancies. So we have the office of town moderator, which is a one-year term expiring in 2026. Does that seem right? What did it say last year?
2025.
All right, so let's make this 2026. Good catch. All right, the next one, select board 3-year term will be expiring when?
It says 27 here, so.
So 20,
But was that,
that's a 3-year position. So you
but
start.
it's not a new 3-year, right? Because,
No, it just starts this year. So you start in 25, 26, 27, 28. You go through. March
wasn't
of
it-
28.
who were the, who were the people that were in the 3?
3-year seat elected by write-in in
Right.
March. So she's got 2.
So that was
you're
a
in for 2
25.
more years. Then,
I'm just understanding just a little bit of that, just a little bit. 1 year.
all right, Randy,
Awesome.
Randy was elected, so
Yeah.
his position is the full term that Patrick McAllister had, so he is still good for another year after this. But there is a 3-year seat that is open, and there's a 2-year seat that is open.
Okay, all right.
So,
Okay.
yeah,
Gotcha.
everybody got that?
I wasn't
Yeah.
sure how many we had, because we had whatever we had last year, and then we had a
Yeah, there's.
whip round,
There's one.
change it up
Yeah,
again.
just basically finishing out. the
Yeah.
term.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, auditors, we have an auditor. Hang on, we have one auditor. We only need 2 auditors. And this is for the town book from Patty, which includes a sample ballot, which is official as of 5 o'clock tonight. So we have an auditor for 3-year, vote for not more than 1, and an auditor for 1 year with the term ending in 2026, according to the official ballots. Sample ballots, not sample. So we want to say there's a 3-year term, and I think I'm gonna take this to stagger years of election out, because we did have one. So let's load it in. Tab. All right, so again, 3 years expires in 2028, and then we have a 1-year position. Which is to fill a vacancy, probably. Term expires in 2026. We have, I'm gonna take this line out. And I'm gonna. Where it's this, right? Trustee of Public Funds. Was here for 3 years, that's gonna be in 2020. Cemetery Commission, 3 years, 2028. Have Linda Swanson running for that. School moderator, 1 year, term expires in 2026. School director, 3 years. It's 2028.
Somebody went into the, for instance, the school director for 3 years, term expiring in 27. So is that person, is that open, or
So,
is there someone in the seat from last year that has a?
so the
term?
person who, who took that, who was on the ballot
Okay, as long as the,
left, and
Okay.
there was an appointment made,
Okay.
so this one says
okay,
Halifax School Director for 3 years, remainder of term ending in 2027. So it is a 3-year term. See, remainder of term. Let's just say term expires in 2027. I'm gonna take this part out. How did we do this with this one? Yeah, I think I'm gonna take this out. I think I'm just gonna take the number of years out. Of 3-year term. We can do that?
Yep.
Okay. trustee to the Whiting, no, we don't have a trustee this year, because the term is not expired yet. All right, let's double check this. Town moderator, select board member, 3 years, select board member, 2 years.
Halifax,
Mr.
just like that, was that Stephanie?
No, that would have been Emily.
Said she had to like that.
Okay. Oh, no, Halifax, Vermont is still here. Stephanie is gone. Halifax, Vermont is not left. All right, Mr. Auditor, 3-year auditor for 1 year. Collector of delinquent taxes. Trustee of public funds, interim commissioner, Halifax school moderator, Halifax director, Halifax school director. Okay, polls are open from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. 28th. 28th day of January.
You're having it.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Organized and dedicated and signatures. Okay,
Oops. What happened?
okay.
Interesting.
No, Kristen's still on. I think that was Emily that time after I said it was her earlier. Now it really was her. Okay, I'm gonna save this to a thumb drive. And we will print it. Oh, so what I need to do is, I would like to make a motion that we sign the Halifax, warning.
Yeah.
For town meeting. And oops, let me get that up here again on the screen. To sign the Halifax, Vermont annual town meeting warning with the articles that we have listed here, articles 1 through 8. And then a notice about the voting by Australian ballot for officers. There are no other Australian ballot items. And I need a second on that motion.
You wanna say
No,
something?
no, I thought we had an extra
I'll
page, I'm
second.
sorry. Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, so let's see, motion has been made by me and seconded by Rhonda Ashcraft to accept and sign the Halifax, Vermont annual meeting warning for the March 4th, 2025 meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And I'm sorry, I don't
Aye.
see Emily up there for the minutes.
Aye.
I don't either. She's gonna have to catch that.
Okay.
Yep. So with that, I'm gonna print this. I'm gonna.
Oh, and I said aye too, if you didn't.
Oh,
Yeah, the motion was 4-0, 5-0-0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5-0.
that hurt.
How do I see the copy? I don't See the copy. See the copy. I'm going to eject this drive and go print this. I do have a couple of other things while this is printing. There are 2 highway orders, which Patty had put a note on. Everyone other than Edie needs to review and assign those orders. So I'll let you guys do that while I go print and then.
Good night. Thank you for
coming.
coming.
Thank you.
Good night.
I am going to exit, but the budget is leaving the building
Budget screen shares leaving.
when it makes a noise.
I'm gonna pull this out like so. Just go.
Route 44. Does everybody want a copy of this? I'm gonna circulate this.
Penny?
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's that we good.
Thank you much.
That's the completed.
It is, I still have, just so you know, I have to work on the finance schedules. our numbers are good, but the formatting and stuff, have to make sure those are all okay before we print. I'm gonna be in on Friday, possibly one day before Friday, to work on stuff.
We want to handwrite our names neatly as well next to our signatures.
That's what we did last time.
I always sign with my Netherlands. Karen, I'll start this with you since they've got the articles. Okay. Select board reports. Word draft.
And I'm gonna circulate the Excel file to everybody in the PDF.
Okay.
That way Patty has it also for tomorrow, so when she's going, checking numbers, she can see what we were thinking.
Um. And once we get this document, the warning signed, we're gonna need to scan it for the town report too.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let me open up. Select board works. All right, before I open up.
Can't do it.
You did so well.
Yes, so much more words.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for coming.
Good to see you.
Thank you. So before I do the select board report and have you guys take a look at that, I was looking at old town reports the other day and came up with the select board report for FY 2014, which said another very busy fiscal year. So we were doing it on the fiscal year. I wrote the report this year from election to election because I thought it's just so much easier and we can look back and we can look ahead at the same time. But in FY 2014, we held or attended about 95 regular, special, or emergency meetings, public hearings, board of civil authority meetings, and other training sessions, up from 63 in 2013. And then in FY 2016, they met 67 meetings or hearings. So
We were a mere 53 or so.
we were at a mere 53 and I was beating myself up until I saw those and I was like, I'm just gonna take a snip of that so I can know that it could have been worse. All right, so let me share.
You have to sign these or does just Edie? Every, oh, other
Yeah,
one.
yeah, you should sign it if you've looked at it. You definitely want to take a look. You've looked at it.
Okay. So I gave you guys this in advance and would like to have it finalized if we can. Print a copy of it here.
When I looked at it today, I saw like a typo, or wasn't a typo, it was, I forgot that. I don't-
Right there.
Just that's it.
Yes.
That was, there's supposed to be a space.
There's a space, okay. Good eyes.
I do read the stuff. So.
I love it.
Still looking too. So.
The thing about the town garage roofing here.
Yeah, I still have to do the commissioner's report, so I'm talking about some of that. I saw what you wrote
Okay,
back and forth, so we can talk about where we want to put the most emphasis. I'm
yeah,
gonna have to spend the, either Wednesday or Thursday, because it has to be done by Friday, right?
yes.
So-
That's,
So I've got some writing to do, and I've got to get a hold of, Mike at some point, and then Rhonda, I'm gonna chase her down so she reads it, but I'm about a day behind.
okay, no worries. I mean, and you keep in mind that like the ideal is that they're gonna finish the report and have it ready for the printer on Friday. The reality is if they don't, the world is not gonna end, and I have some time I could spend on it if we have, little bits and pieces to do on the weekend. But I put down our ARPA funding, just, the only thing I put here was the stuff we did for the town. Because we had discussed the other stuff last year and I thought it's done, that's fine. I talked about our priorities, and the fact that the job market was a mess and, I hope it's okay that I put this leads to burnout and frustration for those filling in, just so people know.
Yeah.
Got the voters to agree to replace the excavator and loader. They were close votes.
Actually, I had some changes, or not changes, but I had some edits, so I don't know how what's the easiest way to.
How much are they?
Let me show you, and then if I have to re-log in, I can, or I can just give it to you. Let me just get up and just find it. I don't know what the easiest thing is, Edie. I'm sorry, I meant to send this to you in advance. but-
You didn't like the hearing? Don't use that, Karen.
You can put here in back. I'm not gonna fall on my sword for that one.
Or does it, that's a start time.
Let me come around, find you. Oop. Thanks. I did add more ARPA info.
I'm sorry, I'm like starting to fade a little bit.
Okay.
What was your question?
Oh,
Do I ever call them?
what's that mean? Does that,
I don't know, but you did it a couple times, so I just wanted to fine tune it.
that just a comment?
Times.
Since down to employees, I don't know.
So, but there's no start time.
Actually, I don't know why you highlighted that, but it is what I already wrote.
Okay, I think when I looked at
guess-
that,
Is it-
listen,
is it all-
as elsewhere, like, I didn't know where elsewhere was. What was elsewhere referring
I
to?
don't know, probably
As,
would-
wherever the budget is. And the
I-
budget pages of this town report,
I say we should make up additional,
Start now, just finish
and the
time.
budget
Um,
pages in this town report.
I would just say budget, I would just say as reported. Then you don't have to, instead of as elsewhere, you
Oh,
can say as
okay.
reported.
As the budget, how about if I say as the budget pages in this town report?
Perfect.
My brother told us to kind of really good.
Perfect.
You know, remember.
I wasn't quite sure what
Up
you meant.
there, I'm just kind of fond of that.
And then for people changes, yeah, I had a bunch, whoops.
You know, it was drifting. It's gone to the totally. Stop it. Okay.
And you're typing that on there, people can see it.
Yep. I didn't want to say Pete retired because we can also hope he comes back. So
I just said the departure.
I know.
Oh, that's much better. Oh, yes. Did you see that,
For you,
Rhoda?
Rhonda.
That is amazing.
It is better.
Okay. All right, select board meetings.
And the reason I said immediately following
Uh-huh.
is, sometimes it says first two, and then sometimes it said select board meetings
Yeah.
following something, and so I didn't want it to be like,
Yeah.
yeah, you know, 3 years from now, we did it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, let's see.
But-
Down to. Okay. The same sentence, so instead of. Yeah, you want to scroll on that page.
Get up to the top here. I just made the Halifax Connectivity Program HCP. I just created a defined term for it because. And I wanted to be sure that we took out ARPA as much as possible.
I know, but that's how people know it.
I know, but I said formally of, well, ARPA is still in there, but I don't want to get in trouble with the you know who's, we can tell people what it is.
It is.
Well, that's all right. They can call me.
I don't wanna put a program in.
Pardon?
I don't wanna put an acronym in here that we haven't ever called it.
I know, but we have to define it because that's what all the numbers are and that's what's gonna be in the financial statements once we get them. So we have to. That's what it's called. And so I said formerly ARPA, so that's still in there.
You wanna see this? Did you have some changes that I need to? No. We added, presumably we added up all these hours and stuff. She's, I'm a dog that got to my hand. Yes. Oh my gosh. What is that? Is that because it's overtime? This is down to employees? Yeah, I didn't understand. I didn't understand that. I asked Randy. I don't know. I guess it's just a no. Because he worked
Yeah, I think.
one night a day going to another day.
Yeah,
Got it.
he didn't really take a
A ton.
full break, but they're kind of at that
Yeah.
stage, wasn't it?
There's, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's what that meant.
That makes sense to me. And then this one is the. It's his son. He's just filling in. Yeah, just filling in. I guess it's 7 hours. Yeah. Yeah. How many? So, he's get 25 an hour. Okay.
On this one, if you're interested in learning more about the Halifax Connectivity Program, please contact David Jones. I really want to state that there is more funding available there.
Okay.
Because we do want to spend all of it if we can.
Did I put that lower down in mine? I might have moved, because I wouldn't have taken that out. That's important. I may have just moved the sentence.
It's okay, I'll add it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's interesting. So for Travis, who was filling in, that was at a $25 an hour rate. As long as everybody's comfortable with that. And this is Peter, he got paid. He was paid.
And had decades in there for the town garage roof as well. I wanted to get back out, but it really was decades.
It was, right?
It was, and it was like kind of one of those things where I found an reference to it. When I was searching for the other stuff. Okay. I'm gonna shorten this and I'm just gonna say it was covered with with what is known as double roof. Because that's
that's
what
fine.
fixed.
Okay, okay.
I didn't patch it and then cover it, they just covered it.
Okay.
As far as I know.
Okay.
Yeah, Karen, did you look at this one?
No.
I can't, like. Seem to understand this one. The allegiance struck.
So there's
Okay,
there's multiple pages. There's 2 that are duplicated in there. And then there's a couple of pages that basically they got refunds on 2 of the things. So there are, it is complicated to look at.
It's like, because the
Yeah.
refunds are not clear at all.
Yeah, yes, yes,
That was like,
yes, yeah, and I
I
didn't,
saw the math in the front,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's hard to just see.
It,
where
it
the
was a little
refunds
hard to
are
follow,
actually.
yeah, yeah.
Hey, Tristan, are you still there?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, well,
It's like he's trying to talk.
Hey, Tristan, I just had a question on the MERP grant. I've got the
Yes.
paperwork for the MERP grant and I've got Edie's signature, but I don't have a copy that has the signature of the state of Vermont.
I don't think we got it back yet, but they said they would get it back to
Okay.
us.
Just wanted to double check, because we sent it to them. I mean, it hasn't been long. It's only been a little over a month and a half.
Yeah.
But they're usually pretty quick. So in case we had it buried in an email. Because otherwise we just have to call
Or
them.
they know they did it. I think I sent it in the end. So that they might have had my email too, but I
All
didn't
right,
see
we'll
it.
just have to find it.
Okay. Down arrow.
Oh, it's in a
I found
stupid
it, I
spot.
found it, I
Got
found it. Okay, all right. So although this was an unbudgeted expense, the board voted to proceed. Bid. Okay, so you have completed the garage roof with the MERP grant that we've gotten, but we haven't.
Received the money,
we
yeah,
haven't
so it was,
received that. Let's leave this out. 'cause
Okay.
This is for next year. This MERP grant is next year. We'll get it in.
okay,
And we voted to do this well before we knew we were
Okay.
actually gonna be able to get.
sure,
that.
okay.
All right,
Yeah.
so let's see. Additional federal funding, yeah, you've highlighted that. Again, it's that thing. I asked Patty today if we'd gotten that money yet, and she didn't respond to me.
Mm,
And again, I'm a little concerned.
yeah, well,
Um,
that's real money. Oh, Patty says she's going to bed. Do you want me to ask her the she's done.
No, it doesn't matter. It's just, you know.
Let me just ask her.
Do they have tarps that cover the back of the sand truck so the sand doesn't fly out? That's what I was guessing.
When I'm in charge of the world, I'm gonna make sure they put metal roofs, because I get my windows smashed every time I get on the highway.
Oh.
I just got it.
Some truck goes flying by.
I got one the other day.
Not our trucks, I just, out on 91, never fails. They confuse
No,
things.
no, I just like, I didn't want to have to say what we said last year, that we gave money to these organizations, because we think we said it last year. And I just don't want to say it again. So read last year's report. Yeah, yes.
I don't know that we did, because this was all September 24. No, not that, this. I don't remember having that level of detail last year.
Look at it, just
Okay.
make sure. 44 to 46, taking up a lot of pages. These pages cost money. Sorry. So we didn't do it monetarily, but there was that already last year, so I was like, do we need it?
The reason I wanted to put that in there is I'm thinking like an auditor. And that we're gonna have to report that in our audit, one way or the other.
Are they gonna read this report? Or is
It's
this-
evidence that we did what we did.
Expenses. Oh, I'm just getting lazy at this point. I'm always cranky, but at this point, there's also a laziness factor in here.
Tired.
Hey Tristan, just a note that you should try to come in and sign the warning if you have an opportunity to. Recognizing that there's some weather tomorrow. The folks are gonna try to meet on Friday to finalize the stuff, and we should probably scan it with the signatures we have now. But if we can get your signature, Tristan, that's great too.
I am not able,
Right.
Patty scans it from her computer.
I
If you know how to scan it, then,
think we just put it in the flat on the, in the feeder and, yeah.
and then
try
where
to-
does the file go
You put
to?
your thing.
Oh, you scan it to the thumb drive?
Yeah.
Ah, okay,
Yeah.
it's above my pay grade.
Well, I think I'm gonna drop off now.
So we're still in meeting.
Yeah.
We talked tonight about the, or the advertising for a new employee.
Yeah.
There's an elephant in the room. Can I ask?
So what I said in the meeting, in the email is the only thing that we can say, which is that the employee did not meet the
Meet,
terms
okay.
of conditions of their offer letter. Yeah.
Oh, there's there's a lot going around town.
Well,
But we,
that's-
yeah, we,
But it
that's
comes
what,
from-
that's, so keep in mind that a lot of times when there's personnel issues, the town wants to make sure that confidentiality is maintained for.
Oh, yeah, I know, that. I'm
liability
just
reasons.
telling you.
Yeah, I'm sure
have to
people
go
are gonna
through
make
this
up what they
again.
want
We're done
to
with
make
this.
up. So we're not gonna have a schedule that talks about the specific things the highway bought.
okay,
So I'm just gonna say the town, and I'm gonna keep that paragraph.
That's
The town
fine.
invested-
that's
okay.
fine.
The town invested in. Maintenance. Let's see. I'm struggling with saying the notes.
What I can do,
Tomorrow.
actually, I can
Thank you.
put some of that into the road commissioner report, which,
Yeah, I mean, I think this tells people what we bought, because I did go back and look at it.
okay,
So if you don't think that they need to know like the details of how much each item was with that, which they can always come and ask us.
right, right.
Um,
Nope.
then this is just to tell them like we are investing in things to keeping the roads nicer. Okay. All right, let's scroll again. What else we got in here?
All the way down to priorities.
Yeah.
Whoops.
To triage and prioritize. Prioritize issues throughout the year. So. Regretfully.
I don't know if regretfully is the right word, but.
Yeah,
it's
it
like-
is, it is. Job market, in several instances where. Candidates. So. Lost my place over here. Now we met with our budget, which. Actually, the reason that I wanted to leave this with this leads to burnout and frustration for those filling in, honestly, is also because I got pretty frustrated without a secretary. So rather than saying the road crew must pick up the slack, like when there's,
Fine, yes,
yeah.
yeah, I just have road crew on the brain, so that's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah, and I was,
Yes, that's
that
true.
was me.
Okay,
That's my crabbing. Let's keep my crabbing in here.
all right, it's all yours.
Nobody else about that. All right, eligible for municipal bond funding. All right, I'm gonna say,
Instead of did approve, we should just say approved. We should
Okay.
save a word.
okay. Approved. These larger purchases, these approved. I'd like to use the word did a lot. AI is always telling me that I shouldn't too. Approve these larger purchases with a longer payback period. I want to keep this, they were close votes in.
Okay,
And the reason
okay.
is because I want people to understand, we looked at the votes. We know that a lot of people voted against it, but more people voted for it. So that's why I want to have it.
Okay.
Okay.
And
And
get
then,
down to filing.
we have implemented revisions. Well, actually, those revisions are not on the website yet and they still aren't finalized.
Oh, really?
No,
Yikes.
because I need to talk to Fisher, right?
Oh, dear, okay.
So
Okay.
we made progress. I'm gonna
How about we are finalizing revisions?
finalize them. What's up, Rhonda?
Well, it's been a very busy week.
So where it says we were successful in getting the voters to weigh in and replacing, oh, to weigh in, okay.
Mm.
I don't like saying finally, and we are finalizing. Finalizing business for our towns, driveway right-of-way permits.
And then what I'm gonna say in the road commissioner
Process.
thing is when we talk about these purchases,
Yeah,
I'm gonna say that this is what the ceiling was and this is where we came in. And just to connect those dots.
um,
Little tired.
I'm not sure if I'm getting all of this in here,
All
so.
right, what's all this? So
All right,
through the permit revision process, we have come to understand and appreciate that a larger revision to our highway ordinance. And then in parentheses, I have last updated November 1995.
November,
November 1995 is necessary to both strike, include, is necessary to both provide for better enforceability when dealing with violations, as well as providing enforceable guidelines for class 4 trails. I wanted to make sure that
enforceability for when dealing. Okay.
and let me just double check November. Moving August 33.
Oh, then we're delicate.
And it got updated. So, I guess we. It's hard to tell what's going on. November 21. This amendment should be published in the form of November. It shall become effective in 96, but that's okay. Last updated.
Can I just look
November.
at that for a minute?
Yeah.
This is interesting. Oh, my God.
What do we?
I
Blocking.
something, I hit something and I wanna go down again.
It's good, good, good. It's locked. See, give it a second. What's it doing?
It's like I touched something over here and that,
Oh, that's weird. All right, so where are we? So we're in, what?
I'm trying to get to, basics,
Okay,
basic reminders, keep informed and get involved.
there we are. Basic reminders coming up. There we go.
Let's see. No, the emergency meetings can be held immediately.
Okay,
So.
Okay.
The special that are 24 hours, but.
got it.
There's town fairs.
Zero that.
I hear capitalization. I like capitalization.
You do or you don't?
You do,
I do.
yes.
Well, it's town of Halifax as opposed to a random town.
But it's like we squish the words together now too, that we didn't use to squish together. I guess I'm just being lazy. Again. All right. See, I capitalized town report because that's a document.
Yeah, I had, for anything that just, so that you refer to it, it's a defined term up front. And you can use it all the way through.
The capitalized, you mean?
Yes, you say the town of Halifax.
Yeah.
Parentheses, the capital T town,
Okay,
and then you can do anything.
all right, so we got that done. I will
Okay.
Print a copy of that. Save a copy here. Save copy. Save. Thumb drive.
So we're done with this now?
I think so. All right, so I'll print that and it can go in town report too. We have. Two more things, well, a couple little things here, next meeting, we will talk about, the right-of-way permit on Sprague Road that I think everybody got copied on that. And and incident reports conversation. And I don't think Emily was able to start any correspondence on the turnaround on Clark Road.
Tristan went there, right?
Tristan went there and under correspondence, we were gonna say if Emily had a letter drafted to discuss it, but we don't have that letter drafted. So, I would entertain a motion to adjourn at this point with our.
Let's get this going. Okay,
It's your turn.
I gotta get this right.
Go for it.
I know what I gotta do. I got so excited. She wants to adjourn.
Yeah, so you move.
I'll move it.
Go ahead.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Can I have a second?
Also.
Hey,
Yes, yes, yes.
motion's been made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye,
Aye.
Aye.
we're done.
I see you lit up.
Wow.
So we're assuming that's an aye. Thank you so much, Tristan.
Aye.
I don't know how we lost audio for the last time, but it is 9:26 PM and we are now adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Have a good,
Nice work. Thank you,
have a
everybody.
good couple days.
Thanks, Tristan.
Be careful in the snow.
Poor Tristan's trying to.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Why, is it really gonna snow tomorrow?
Yeah, we're supposed to get a lot.
It'll be,
We've got a winter storm warning.
it'll be 4 inches. 5 inches.
All right, stopping the recording.